There we go. We're ready for some more Dual Destinies. Let's do it. We have December 20th, 10:15 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 5. Oh, we're going right into court. The judge is gone. Oh. I suppose we should reconvene the trial of Solomon Starbuck or something? Objection! Your Honor, could you please come out from under your bench? There are no more bombs, I promise. Oh, yes! My apologies. I'm still a little jumpy when it comes to trials involving bombs. I mean, first, the courtroom exploded. And then Mr. Tonate self-destructed. I guess that's one way of describing what happened to Tonate. Anyway, it seems that Mr. Justice was seriously wounded by Mr. Tonate's actions. So you, Mr. Wright, will be taking up the defense? Do you have an understanding of what has happened in the trial so far? Yes, Your Honor. The defense is ready. Very well. Is the prosecution also ready? Oh, I take it you'd like me to give the opening statement this time? Looks like the judge has become a pretty good mind reader. Well, he's certainly seen more than his fair share of colorful prosecutors. You could say he's something of a veteran of sorts. Let's see. In the previous part of this trial, we learned that the victim, Clay Terran, escaped from Launch Pad 1 carrying the defendant, Solomon Starbuck. There were explosions on the second floor of the Space Center and on the rocket itself. The two astronauts used the Launch Pad 1 corridor to reach the boarding lounge. And how could the victim climb down the ladder if he was carrying the defendant? That was the mystery that needed to be solved. But Mr. Justice proved that the victim was killed in the boarding lounge. Prosecutor Blackquill, were you able to discover any new facts related to this point? Upon further investigation, we discovered an oxygen tank fragment in the lounge. Surprisingly, it would appear that Justice Dono's argument was correct. So that means the testimonies of the first two people on the scene are suspect. There were two people who claimed to be the first on the scene, but can we truly trust their statements? Let's see. The two people were Detective Candace Arm and Yuri Cosmos, right? You think that one of them might have given a false statement to the police? Yes, it's certainly possible. We might have to do a little more digging. And just as our team was about to cross-examine Detective Arm, the courtroom bombing incident occurred, and the trial was put on hold. That accursed fellow! He killed my witness! He killed Detective Arm! He definitely put the kibosh on anyone asking her what she saw. Exactly. In other words, the question of who killed the victim in the boarding lounge has once again become the main focus of this trial. It's obvious Prosecutor Blackquill still thinks it was Mr. Starbuck. Fulbright said that Blackquill has a thing against the astronaut. Nevertheless, the defense argues that there was a third person in the lounge, and that's who killed the victim. To make such reckless claims in a courtroom takes a bold man, or a stupid one. There was no third person in the boarding lounge. Or have you gone dotty already, old man? We'll see who's the dotard after I trounce you with my years of experience, little boy. In any case, Mr. Starbuck claims he saw someone leaving the lounge. Careful, Phoenix. The last time you underestimated a supposedly young prosecutor, you lost your badge for 7 years. Furthermore, a Space Center employee also saw a suspicious figure at the scene. They saw a third person? I see my sister has been running her mouth. That's right. I almost forgot that Aura is Prosecutor Blackwell's sister. No matter, she didn't see this mystery person's face clearly. Therefore, there is no evidence to indicate that this person was not the defendant. I guess the possibility that the figure was Mr. Starbuck is still there. In brief, we need to determine if a third person was there or not. To this end, we should hear the testimony of one of the first people on the scene. Director Cosmos, huh? Very well, bailiff. Please bring the witness to the stand. Why, I believe I've seen you before in the newspapers. Of course you have. Of course you have. For I am Yuri Cosmos, director of the Cosmos Space Center, which was, of course, named after me, Yuri Cosmos. Don't you have anything you wish to ask me? Looks like he's all geared up to do some bragging. 7 years ago, I successfully launched the Hat 1, and... He is writing a segue. Everyone already knows how brilliant you are. Even I am trying to hold back my tears at seeing such a great man standing before me. So could you please proceed directly to your important testimony? I see this fine young lad has a proper appreciation of greatness. Then allow me to begin my epochal testimony that will be recorded in the annals of history. That speech of Prosecutor Blackwell's just now. It sounded more to me like he was poking fun at Director Cosmos. It's probably for the best that it sailed right over the director's head. And now then, Director Cosmos, the condensed version of your illustrious testimony, please. Witness testimony. What I saw at the scene. Detective Arm and I rushed towards the boarding lounge together. We went via the control room and peeked in from there to see what was going on inside. We saw a figure standing in the middle of the lounge and Terran lying on the floor. I hate to say it, but I could only imagine the standing figure must have been Starbuck. Okay. I see. So in your testimony, you claim you all arrived on the scene after the two had escaped from the launch pad to the lounge. And just after the victim had been killed. Oh, the horror! The humanity! But what I said is what I saw, and what I saw is what I said. Courageous action to take in the face of such terrifying explosions, wouldn't you say? To save my men, I went personally into the epicenter of danger. Risking my own life for theirs! Well, what do you know? It sounds like the director really cares about his men. Yeah, although it sounds more like he was scared and just had a peek from far away. Is the defense ready to cross-examine the witness? Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Cosmos' testimony is pretty vague. I'm gonna have to press him and draw out more information before I do anything else. That's a big ol' hint that we need to do some pressing, I guess. What I saw. Here we go. Alright, they went to the boarding lounge. Where were you coming from? The 6th floor. We were making sure any stragglers made their way to the 4th floor. It was then we heard about Starbuck and Terran and hurried to the 3rd floor lounge. On my galactic scooter here, of course. Why do you keep calling it galactic? Does it have something to do with space? Of course! It's specifically designed to be used on galactic battleships. I see. Then I take it works in 0G too? Sadly, no. With the current state of technology as it is, I'm afraid it would just float about and be galactically useless. Well, that's a galactic bummer. I see. So you rushed to the boarding lounge on your space-age pogo stick. And when you got to the scene, what did you see? Space-age pogo stick, yes. I guess it kind of does look like that from this angle. I get the galactic battleship thing. I think that's a reference to an old anime called Yamato. And his design kind of looks like the captain. Also, he definitely has a Mario star, I just noticed. We went via the control room and peeked in from there to see what was going on inside. Let's see. According to this diagram, you didn't have to go through the control room to get to boarding lounge 1. It looks like you could have gone there from the southern corridor as well.
Yes, but in her haste, Detective Arm rushed ahead of me towards the control room. All I could do was merely follow behind her.
I see.
So we peeked into the boarding lounge from the control room door and...
So we saw a figure standing in the middle of the lounge and Terran lying on the floor. Okay. So you couldn't see who that figure was clearly or what they were doing?
Sadly, the only thing I could tell was that it was a person standing motionless.
The defendant, no doubt, staring aghast at his deed. What other explanation is there?
I'm so close. But without evidence, I can't prove that person's the third party. That person.
I don't relish in this, and...
I hate to say it, but I can only imagine the standing... Oh yeah, it must have been Starbucks. Right. Aura Blackquill also saw a suspicious figure in the lounge, but she gave the statement that it was too dark to see the person's face clearly. Did you see this figure's face clearly?
No, not clearly. The lighter they were holding illuminated the area around their feet at the time. But other than that, I could see little else. That's why I could see Theron, but I couldn't see who the other person was.
So for all you know, it might not have been Mr. Starbuck. Isn't that correct?
I would like to believe that Starbuck isn't the type of man who's capable of murder.
When the witness entered the boarding lounge, there was no third person there. Isn't that correct, Great Space Center Director?
Yes, that's right. Only Starbuck and Terran were there by that time. After we peeked in, the lounge suddenly went dark and the figure vanished.
You mean they disappeared? That's odd.
The reason the figure appeared to vanish is because it was the defendant. When the witnesses weren't looking, he fell to the floor and feigned unconsciousness.
Hold on. Director Cosmos, did you ever take your eyes off of the scene?
Just for a brief instant, about as long as it takes for a shooting star to go by.
If you took your eyes off the scene, then this third person could have escaped during that time.
But what escape route could this person have used?
The direction opposite the control room, the southern door to the elevators. There's no security lock on that door, so it would have been possible to escape that way.
All things are possible, right, Dono? The real question is, do you have any proof?
Well...
If we're just talking possibilities, we could each profess whatever we'd like. An inmate who used to be a university professor and Luna researcher used to say that there is a kingdom of little green men who live under the surface of the moon.
As long as they don't punish us in the name of said moon for what we've done to it. Oh no, first we have a Yamato reference and now we got a Sailor Moon reference? What is this? Come on.
But I say, where's your proof that this quaint kingdom exists?
He's calling your theory a work of fiction, boss. And he's right. I don't have any proof yet. Still. The southern door was a possible escape route. I'd better make a mental note of that. Director Cosmos, may I ask you a question?
Yes?
Why did you look away from the boarding lounge?
Ha ha ha! There's actually another tale of bravery behind the answer to that. It was when Detective Arms saw the figure and raised her gun. Being a great humanitarian and protector of mankind, I tried to stop her.
What? You're saying Detective Arm raised her gun as soon as she saw the figure?
I imagine her instincts as a detective told her they were the killer.
I don't know about that. And were you able to prevent Detective Arm from firing her gun?
I'm afraid I was too late. I was unable to stop her. She identified herself clearly, and then she fired 2 warning shots at the shadowy figure. This information about Detective Arm's actions sounds critically important. Please add it to your testimony.
Yamato and Sailor Moon or other shows in that style, are part of California culture. Yes. Yes, because ancient California culture, much like the yokai case we did a while back. Very Californian. Founded by immigrants, they said. So Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots, did she? That's the first time that info has come out. I wonder if I can find any inconsistencies. Yeah, okay, hang on a second. So he's saying that she fired 2 warning shots. Alright. Let's look at our evidence again. So we got a single bullet hole was found in the boarding lounge. And he said she fired 2 warning shots. We did find a bullet from a 10 caliber handgun, which was weird. But I think the bullet hole is the contradiction. Let's see. Objection! Yeah. Are you sure you were really paying attention to what Detective Arm was doing?
You doubt my words? Words that will someday be written down in history books?
Somehow, I don't think that those exact words will ever be written down in any history books.
Mr. Wright, could you please explain yourself so that we can all understand?
You say that Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots, and yet only 1 bullet hole was ever found at the scene.
What?
Only 1 bullet hole means the gun was only fired once. And yet Director Cosmos is saying Detective Arm fired 2 shots. No editor would allow such a glaring contradiction into a history book.
Unfortunately for you, the witness's words are true. We confirm that 2 shots were fired from Detective Arm's gun.
But there was only 1 bullet hole at the scene. Where did the other bullet hole vanish to?
Ah! You should know the answer to that already.
I should.
During the previous trial, a certain oxygen tank was presented as evidence. We've already discussed that it was ruptured in the lounge, have we not? Well, it appears that the thing that ruptured it was a bullet. A bullet that was found near the tank, to be precise. This bullet was fired from a .38 caliber gun, the same caliber as the detective's gun.
Hang on a second. The bullet we found was 10 caliber.
What?
Oxygen tank data updated in the court record. Okay, so the victim's oxygen tank was struck by a bullet.
The rifling marks also match up. There's no question that the bullet was fired from Detective Arm's gun.
Bullet from Arm's gun added to the court record.
Rifling marks? They're like a gun's fingerprints on a bullet, correct? And examining the rifling marks on a bullet can tell us the gun it was fired from? One of the bullets the detectives fired found its way into the holographic image display. The other bullet came to a stop near the victim's oxygen tank. The evidence confirms the director's statement that the detective fired 2 shots.
My beautiful contradiction. Gone. All gone. So that bullet hole was from a .38 caliber, huh? I'd better update the record.
Bullet hole updated. Okay, the only bullet hole found in the boarding lounge, it was made by a bullet fired from a 38 caliber gun. So, what about the other gun we saw, or bullet we saw, huh?
Very good. Now we know the fate of both the shots Detective Arm fired. Mr. Wright, does that clear up all of your questions?
Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots. One hit the holographic display, and the other hit the oxygen tank. Does that really clear up everything about what happened at the scene? No. No, Your Honor, it doesn't. Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots from a 38 caliber gun, but that doesn't explain the existence of a certain piece of evidence found at the scene. A piece that points to the existence of a third person. Oh.
Very well, but it won't do to keep us waiting, Mr. Wright. What piece of evidence suggests the possibility of a third person at the scene?
This bullet.
And what is this metal pellet supposed to be?
Just a little something of great importance we found at the crime scene, Your Honor.
You found it where?
In a floor gutter at the crime scene. It looks like the police and prosecution both missed it. Furthermore, this is a 10 caliber bullet, making it much smaller than one of Detective Arm's 38 calibers.
Then that means...
Exactly. One more person must have been there in the lounge. A third person who had a gun that could fire 10 caliber bullets. That is one thing I've said before, but it is so funny that, you know, in the midst of all the insane legal stuff in this series that hurts Phoenix and his legal team, he is just able to go, hey, by the way, I totally found this bullet at the scene. You guys just missed it. And they're just like, oh, okay, we believe you. And if that's true, it explains why Detective Arm fired warning shots. This third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun. And in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Director Cosmos?
It looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us. What's this now?
I'm glad he didn't bring that up before.
What? You've never breathed a word of that to me before?
Well, all great men have a secret or two, don't you know?
Foolish old geezer.
So Director Cosmos really has been hiding the presence of a third person all along. But why? Director Cosmos, I want you to testify to the court about what you really saw.
You may be a very great man, but in my courtroom, you're just another witness. You won't receive special treatment here. Now, please, give accurate testimony.
Witness testimony. What I really saw at the scene.
Detective Arm and I rushed to the control room together. In the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room and Terran on the floor. He was still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us.
Okay.
Given that there was no third person in the lounge when the witness entered it, does this mean the person who fired the gun had to have been the defendant?
Not necessarily. It's still possible that it was someone else. Most likely, as soon as Detective Arm and Director Cosmos discovered this person, they escaped through the southern door, the one that didn't have a security lock.
Objection!
Double-edged swords are a tricky lot, Mishandle One, and it is you who is cut down.
Huh?
Your reasoning could apply if Space Boy were the killer as well. Think about it. After being discovered, he could have fired the 10 caliber gun. Detective Arm would have responded by firing 2 warning shots. All he had to do was feign unconsciousness to invent the possibility of a third person.
But Mr. Starbuck didn't have a gun in his possession when he was found by police, nor has a gun been found at the crime scene. Its absence can only be explained if there was a third party who took it with them.
Recall the existence of a trash chute in the boarding lounge. The defendant could have simply thrown the gun down the chute.
But you can't deny the possibility of a third person leaving with the weapon.
It's up to you to prove that possibility, and I trust you haven't forgotten my little piece of decisive evidence.
What evidence?
Why, the detonator switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, naturally. The most compelling evidence of all that tells us he is the culprit. Ah! I did forget about all that. Look, your boldness, how deliciously obvious it is that they lack the evidence to rival mine.
Oh, he sliced our third person theory to ribbons and served it to us just like that. I'm pretty sure if somebody shot at an officer, the officer wouldn't send warning shots back at them. I agree. We've played enough police story to know how that goes. Let's see. What do we got? Let's see something here. Discovered in a gutter that runs along the south wall of the boarding lounge. I would have just to remind myself where we found that because... So it's the south wall. Okay. South wall of the boarding lounge. So there's the thing that's a little confusing for me. Is that okay. If they're saying the shot, so if they're saying Cosmos and Arm were in the control room and somebody shot at them there, how did that bullet end up here in the south? That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, well, I have a question of my own, actually. That bullet that the mysterious figure shot, what did it hit exactly? It hit me. So does that mean you're a ghost?
I was wondering when you would realize it, your boldness. Director Cosmos is an authentic, bona fide ghost. He can even pass through walls.
What is this?
Yeah!
Prosecutor Blackwell, shame on you for teasing the nice old gentleman.
Your boldness, it was all in jest. Please show yourself again.
Are you sure? In that case, how did you manage to survive being shot, Director Cosmos? I've certainly never, ever encountered somebody who's been shot before and kept a bullet in them for a decade plus. I'm glad you asked. It was a miracle. A miracle befitting a great history-making figure such as myself. The bullet hit my glorious Medal of Honor, whereby it ricocheted, thus saving my life.
What? Oh, so did it bounce off of his badge and then go backwards? That's unbelievable. I have to check this out. Oh, wow. Look at that. There's one extra Gaxa star. It's not a star, it's a bullet hole? Really? The odds are literally astronomical. I guess it really was a miracle. It's beginning to really feel like the Cosmos is watching out for Director Cosmos. Now he's just got that bullet luck field that Fortune from Metal Gear Solid 2 had.
But why did you conceal this information, Director Cosmos?
A great man such as myself has to hide things on occasion, no matter how much it hurts. It is the plight of the truly great. It may be hard for this generation to understand.
I don't know, but it sounds fishy to me. What else is he hiding? Let's just cross-examine him and see what we can find out.
Now then, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
Personally, Mr. Cosmos here is on my suspect list because, I don't know, I'm wondering, was this like an insurance scam or something? Because the Cosmos Center is in financial problems, and I'm wondering if he was doing something to get some money somehow. What I really saw at the scene. Alright, Detective Arm and I rushed. In the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room and Terran on the floor. Right. We were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us. Right. Alright. We've already heard all about that part. Don't you have any new information?
Well, let me see. If you have an hour or two, I can tell you all about the Hat One miracle.
We already know all about that, too. Tell us about something related to the incident.
I see. You want to know about incidents? Well, then, let me tell you about the many incidents that made me the man I am today. Yes, if you have the time, I will tell you all about the upbringing of this great man.
You've told us all about that already as well. What we need now is your testimony.
Did I really already tell you all about my upbringing? I don't recall doing so. Director Cosmos, perhaps you could save your boastful tales for later. If I must. Well, we peeked in through the control room door and...
Lounge, we saw a figure. Right. But it was so dark you couldn't see this figure's face, isn't that right?
Yes, the room was as deep and dark as outer space itself. Speaking of outer space, during the Hat One launch 7 years ago... If it's about that Hat One miracle again, you can sort of and tell it to a stray mutt. Ha 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 ha! Excellent idea! No wonder why, the reason why the animal world shouldn't hear of my greatness!
And so they shall. But first, your testimony. What happened next?
You might be right about him being a suspect. Maybe the detective shot him because he was the other shooter. That is a good point. I'm not sure. We're in totally new territory for me. I have no idea. We were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us. Okay, so Director Cosmos was in the control room to the east. And while he was there, he was shot at by someone with a 10 caliber gun. But the bullet hit his metal, so he was able to escape with his life. He's a very lucky man. No wonder people think he's great. Hey, I'm pretty lucky myself, so if he's a great man, then I'm the king of all the cosmos. Are you serious? Are we really referencing Katamari Damacy in this game now, too? I mean, that's a great game, but the references, man, it's thick. So in other words, you were fired at while you were at the control room door.
That is correct.
There's something not quite right about that. Director Cosmos, the bullet this person fired hit you, isn't that right?
Yes, it was a miracle! A miracle befitting a great history-making figure such as myself. The bullet the figure fired hit me while I was in the control room. But as the Cosmos would have it, the bullet bounced off my glorious Medal of Honor.
In that case, the bullet should have wound up somewhere around the control room door. Okay, yep. So, is that the contradiction then? Hang on. Yeah, I bet this is. Because we found it in the south of the room. Director Cosmos, I believe you were telling this great court a glorious lie.
A great man like me? Tell a lie? Have you ever heard of such a thing in all of history?
No, nobody famous has ever lied or even been a murderer in this series before. My accusation is based on the positions of the people who were in the lounge. According to your testimony, you and Detective Arm were near the control room door, and the mystery figure was standing in the middle of the boarding lounge. If, as you say, the figure fired a gun at you from this position, then the bullet would have traveled in this direction. However, we found the 10 caliber bullet here.
Oh!
This trajectory and where the bullet was actually found contradict each other. So, I don't know much about evidence law, obviously, but I guess there is a just trust me, bro clause when we can say stuff like this. Director Cosmos, where were you really when you were being shot at?
Ah!
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the human merry-go-round.
Don't tell me you've forgotten already. Didn't the witness himself just tell you the bullet hit his medal? Of this, there is no mistake.
But in that case, the bullet should have been found near the east side of the room. Are you trying to say that you can explain this inconsistency?
Of course.
I didn't think so. What?
Oh, great Director Cosmos.
Yes? Is there something you'd like me to expound upon?
You were, in fact, not in the control room to the east, were you? You were looking into the lounge from the door to the south. Is that not right?
Ah!
What are you getting at?
Use your own brain. Your head must have some use other than housing that bird's nest.
Bird's nest? Why does everyone pick on my hair? Well, it's kind of there.
Director Cosmos and the detective witnessed the scene from the southern door. The killer fired at them there, and that is why the bullet was found in the south.
Ah! That makes some sense, actually.
Also, the witness being at the southern door is rather favorable for the prosecution.
Huh? I've got a bad feeling about this.
How about it, Director? If you don't tell the truth this time...
Yikes! His handcuffs!
You will become but rust upon my sword. I relish the chance to cut down a great man.
All right, I'll tell the truth. Just put your sword away. You are correct. I, the great Eulic Cosmos, was looking into the room from the southern door.
What? That's the complete opposite of all the testimony he's given so far.
Well, now you've lost your possibility that a third person was in the room.
I have? How?
The director and the detective were near the southern door, meaning the killer couldn't have escaped through there. The western door required print recognition. The corridor beyond was filled with smoke. The only escape route left was the eastern control room door. And the only way to get through there was with Director Cosmos' fingerprints.
Ugh!
In short, there would be no escape for any third person had there been one.
Ah! My third person just disappeared, like in one of Trucy's magic tricks.
Order! Order in the court! Director Cosmos, why did you tell such an outrageous lie?
You were covering for the defendant. Isn't that right?
Yes, it was all for the love of my men. If I said I was in the eastern control room, it would mean the culprit could have escaped through the southern door. It would have meant that there could have been a third person. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person.
What a convoluted lie. Was he really covering for the defendant?
It looks like we've come to a conclusion that the defense's argument, the possibility of a third person, has crumbled.
No!
It's over.
Yikes. The judge is about to hand down his verdict. Think, Phoenix, think. This is the perfect time to try and turn my thinking around. If a third person had no way of escaping the scene, then what if one of the people at the scene was this third person? Ah. Wait, what if the whole premise is all wrong? Director Cosmos said that he and Detective Arm rushed to the scene together. But what if that premise isn't true? What if one of them reached the scene before the other one? And if that person entered the lounge, then they would be the third person.
The defendant is the only one who could have killed the victim and shot at the director. There doesn't appear to be any room for argument against these claims. I will now render my verdict.
Please wait, Your Honor. There is still one possibility.
Oh? This is better be good, Mr. Wright.
There is one and only person who could have escaped from the scene. And that person would be the first person who arrived on the scene. Then, upon entering the boarding lounge, the second person to arrive came via the southern door. That's why the first person fled from the room, using an escape route that was accessible only to them.
Very well, let's hear more about this theory. Who is this one person who could have escaped from the boarding lounge?
The only person who had ID. Yuri Cosmos.
What? But that's... Mr. Wright, what are you claiming here?
Of all the people who were at the scene, only the witness could have escaped. The director is the only one with the authority to open the control room door, after all.
But that means...
Exactly. The true identity of the third person is our current witness. Director Yuri Cosmos.
Ah!
What?
What?
Order in the court, I say! Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself in more detail.
I assert that Director Cosmos arrived at the scene before Detective Arm and entered the boarding lounge alone. Detective Arm arrived after that and saw a suspicious figure who was actually Director Cosmos standing in the lounge. And that's why she fired those 2 warning shots.
Ah! I've been hit! I've been hit on the starboard side!
Captain Wright, it's a direct hit on the enemy, sir. A magnificent shot.
Warning shots fired from the enemy ship. Prepare to intercept.
Cosmos, you have told a lie in this court once again.
I've been hit! I've been hit on the port side! The enemy has called in reinforcements!
Earth to Cosmos Control Center, requesting permission to ask that you return to reality.
But my ship will not go down to anything less than the ultimate weapon of evidence.
But I do have evidence. In fact, you could say that your battleship bears its scar.
No!
If Director Cosmos is the third person or a Black Quill saw, this third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun. And in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Director Cosmos?
Ha ha ha! It looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us.
Right. Director Cosmos must have been the one who fired the 10 caliber gun. When Detective Arm discovered him in the lounge, it only makes sense that he would have turned and shot at her. Therefore, the evidence on the director's body is of a different kind of relevance than before. Once we compare it against another piece of evidence, the mark that you received from the third party will be all the proof that we need. To prove that you were the one there in the lounge.
Brace for further impact!
Comparison against this piece of evidence will prove that you were the one in the lounge. The bullet from Arm's gun. The 38 caliber bullet found on the floor at the scene didn't hit the oxygen tank. It hit Director Cosmos' metal. If we have that ricochet mark on the metal analyzed, I'm sure the caliber will match up. And if that mark proves to be from a 38 caliber bullet, it will prove that you are the third person we've been looking for.
Ah, the bridge is destroyed, losing altitude. All hands abandon ship. If that's true, then what about the bullet that hit the oxygen tank?
It was the 10 caliber bullet. In other words, it was the bullet fired by Yuri Cosmos. Isn't that right, Director?
No! You've got it all wrong! What? The engines have started again? It's a miracle! I am not going down yet! Witness, stop this at once and confess the truth!
If you don't want the history books to say that a great man was a great liar, then accept your fate and tell the truth.
Are you giving me orders? Me, the great director of the Cosmos Space Center! Yeah, but the cosmos revolves around me! Ah, someone get me off this thing!
A Jetsons reference, even? Wow.
Order! Order in the court! And will someone please stop the witness from spinning? Phew, thank goodness we were able to stop him from spinning on the face of the earth.
While he was twirling, I took the liberty of running an analysis on the mark of the metal. It was made by a 38 caliber bullet, matching it with the size of Detective Arm's firearm.
Ah! Are you ready to confess the truth, witness? No! You've got it all wrong! This is just a misunderstanding!
Is he gonna start piling on more lies? It looks like it. But no matter how many lies he tells, I'll just expose them one by one. I'll make that big liar tell the truth. To be continued. Ooh. All right. Yes, we're gonna save our progress. And then I am gonna take a super short break and be right back. All right, I am back. That segment felt short, or is it just me? Yes, it did feel short. I agree. I'm wondering if this is going to be a shorter case, like some episode 4s before like an episode 5 have been. Let's go.
Director Cosmos, a new possibility has been presented by the defense. They are claiming that you were this third person. Forgive me. I'm so sorry.
So the great pioneer of space development is revealed to be just another fabulous cur. I have only one question for the likes of you. Shall I send you off quickly or very quickly?
Ah!
The evidence doesn't lie, Director Cosmos, so don't try to talk your way out of this.
Fine. I'll tell the truth. It's all just as you say, Mr. Wright. It's true that I was there in the boarding lounge. I got there before Detective Arm, and when she arrived, she fired warning shots at me. I was afraid people would mistake me for the killer, so I escaped to the control room. I then went past the elevators and all the way around the boarding lounge 1 again. I came up behind Detective Arm and pretended to be second on the scene.
Okay. That's an interesting theory. It's conceivable, but very far-fetched.
What a troublesome old man you are, with such convoluted deeds and thoughts.
I see. So then, are you still insisting that you did not kill the victim? Of course I am. When I arrived at the lounge alone, I saw the true killer. The great Yuri Cosmos was a history-making witness.
Now, hold on just one moment. We just proved a few minutes ago that the third person that Mr. Starbuck and Miss Aura Blackquill saw was you.
No, it wasn't me. I saw the person as well. If I were the killer, why would I lie to cover up for Starbuck? And would just leave him to take the fall.
That is an excellent point.
All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person.
Yeah. I mean, we've had people do this before who ended up being killers, so I'm not entirely bought into that idea. Well, it makes some sense if you told those lies to cover for Mr. Starbuck. Still, a lie is a lie, Athena. So Director Cosmos claims he's not the culprit, but where's the proof?
I just remembered. I have an alibi. Miss Blackquill said that she saw the killer at 10 a.m., correct?
Yes, and?
Well, I was on the 4th floor helping with the evacuation effort. Ask any member of the staff you'd like. They'll corroborate me.
The director is not fibbing to the court, for once. I can confirm that he has an alibi for the time specified.
So, you're claiming that Miss Blackquill saw the killer commit the crime first at 10 a.m., and that you arrived at the lounge after that?
Yes, and I believe the person I saw is the same person that Miss Blackquill saw. Although it was pitch black, so it was more of a shadowy figure and less of a person. And I couldn't actually see their face, but it was definitely the silhouette of an Earthling.
As long as he has an alibi, we can't very well claim Director Cosmos was the killer. No, we can't. But then again, maybe we don't need to yet. I wonder if he was really covering for Mr. Starbuck. Your Honor, the defense moves to have the director testify about the person he saw.
Very well. Director Cosmos, your testimony, please.
What I really witnessed.
As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. I hid to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door and, well, the Launchpad 1 door. And the control room door should have been shut tight to the killer.
So you were shot at by the killer as well, and then they disappeared?
Yes, though luckily no harm came to my glorious body. Unfortunately, the bullet hit Terran's oxygen tank. I know because I heard a pang. It must have been the sound of the tank being ruptured.
Wait, but I thought the bullet hit his metal. That was Detective Arm's bullet, remember? Right. What a mess this is turning into. So, let's see. Director Cosmos is claiming that when he found Mr. Terran and his killer, the culprit shot a 10 caliber bullet at him. Right. But it actually hit Mr. Terran's oxygen tank and ruptured it. And then the killer disappeared, and the director went into the boarding lounge. When Detective Arm caught up and fired these warning shots at him, judging by his medal, it looks like one of them almost took him out, too. Good summary, but that doesn't explain where our mystery killer went. Director Cosmos, I was wondering if you could elaborate on when the figure disappeared.
I'm ashamed to admit I tried to hide myself when I was shot at, but when I peeped back into the lounge, the real killer was gone. I rushed into the lounge straight away to investigate, but what I found was Terran with a knife in his chest, and Starbuck was out cold on the floor. Ah. So we have a culprit who vanished from a scene that he had no escape route. Vanished without a trace. It's truly like one of the great mysteries of the cosmos.
Silence.
A riddle of the ages indeed. But I'd rather know how a fibbing leech such as you can be lauded as great.
A great man is always misunderstood in his own time, but he must remain true to himself, even if those around him don't understand.
Well, that might be the first true statement he's said all day. But how do you suppose this person managed to vanish so suddenly?
Simple, because it was Space Boy himself. When he was spotted by the director and Aura, he quickly feigned unconsciousness. That would certainly take all the mystery out of the idea of a vanishing culprit.
I want to raise an objection, but I don't have any counter evidence. Director Cosmos, when you saw this person, did you also see Mr. Starbuck on the floor?
No, because it was as dark as a black hole in there. I didn't see Starbuck until the other person vanished and I entered the room.
That wasn't exactly helpful.
I'm prepared to accept your surrender, right, Dono?
I can't find any holes in this testimony, but I can't give up. Mr. Wright, why don't you let me help? Huh? While the director was giving his testimony, I detected a cacophony of discord, which means he's hiding his true feelings from us, huh? This just might help us find out what happened to our vanished killer. That'd be great, Athena. Let's see what you can do with him. You got it, boss. I wouldn't want to miss this chance to delve into a great mind. Yuri Cosmos, prepare to hand over the secrets of your heart to me. All right. As I tried to enter the lounge, there's no emotion at all. True killer inside fired a gun at me. Angry, very shocked, and sad. I hid to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. He has no emotion at all when he says that. He's not surprised. That's weird. Okay, but let's keep going. I was near the elevator side door, and well, the launch pad 1 door, right? And the control room door should have been shut tight, killer. All right, can we get a little hint here, Athena? Talk about mixed feelings. He must be trying to account for a number of contradictions. Mr. Wright, maybe this time we shouldn't just look for contradictory emotions. We should also look for emotions that should be there, but aren't. Aha! Got it. Ha-ha! I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that his mind is a convoluted place, too. He must have felt very shaken and distressed at the time. Let's focus on the fluctuations in his emotions and see what we can uncover. The statement from the witness who has lied about literally everything so far is definitely the truth. Yes. Uh-huh. He's, this is... we can trust this guy. He's has never lied. Let's see. When I tried to look, they'd vanished. He is not surprised at all about that. Why? Hey, why can't I? Oh, yeah. I'm hitting the wrong button. He's not surprised. You must have thought it was very strange that the killer vanished into thin air.
I did. That kind of thing just doesn't happen usually.
And yet at that time, you barely registered any shock at the occurrence.
What? Why are you... Ugh!
I can only think of one reason as to why you weren't surprised by the killer's vanishing act. You must have had a good idea of where they went. Isn't that right?
What? No, of course not. That's preposterous. Only I can enter the control room. And the area beyond the launch pad door was filled with smoke, making it impassable. And as for the southern door, I was standing right there. So there was nowhere for the killer to run to.
Maybe, or maybe not. You went into the room to check on Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Terran, yes? What if the culprit took that opportunity to silently slip out through the southern door?
I highly doubt it. As you recall, right after I entered the lounge, Detective Arm came rushing towards it herself via the southern hallway. Anyone trying to escape through there would have been caught by her.
And yet, the director wasn't surprised the killer vanished. So you're absolutely sure there was no escape route for the culprit to use? It's working, boss. One more punch and it'll be a knockout. There seems to be one more emotion that's at odds with his testimony. Go get him. Okay, back in the Matrix it is. Time to pinpoint our way to victory. Alright. As I tried to enter the lounge... The two killer inside fired a gun at me. I had to avoid getting shot. Okay. But when I got another look, they'd vanished. I was near the elevator side door, and well, the launch... Wait. He's sad about the launch pad 1 door? And the control room door should have been shut tight to the killer. Why is he sad about that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be afraid of the launch pad door.
The great Yuri Cosmos afraid? And what basis do you have for that outlandish accusation?
Whether I have any basis or not, you seem quite distressed by it.
I'm most certainly not.
Director Cosmos, there's something about the launch pad door you're not telling us, isn't there?
Gah!
Wow, he's speechless. It looks like you hit the nail on the head, boss. I'll just input those 2 pieces of data and... Yes! Just what I wanted to see. Noise level is down to 70%. Presto changeo! Less Discord. It looks like we're on the right track. Thanks, Athena. Now to make sense of what we've learned. Director Cosmos wasn't surprised that the culprit suddenly vanished from the lounge, which points to the possibility that he knew where the killer had escaped to. Furthermore, talking about the door to the launch pad made him uneasy. In other words, he's probably hiding something about the launch pad 1 door. When we put these 2 pieces together, only one solution to this puzzle comes to mind. Director Cosmos, did the real killer escape through here? The Launchpad 1 door. The culprit went through the Launchpad 1 door to escape, didn't they?
Yes! I mean, no! Disaster to starboard! We're going to crash into an asteroid!
Master tactician, you are not. But the area beyond the door was filled with smoke, wasn't it? True, but this is still the only logical answer there is. If we can just figure out what the director is hiding about the Launchpad 1 door, we should be able to iron out the logical inconsistencies.
But that door requires fingerprint recognition.
Only Starbuck, Terran, and I have access. I don't see how the killer could have opened the security lock. Do you?
That's an easy one. The killer was right there in the boarding lounge, meaning there's a way he could have easily gotten past that security lock. Come to think of it, we did examine the prints on the fingerprint recognition device. I propose that the killer used this person's fingerprints to get past the security lock. It was Starbucks.
That's...
Mr. Starbuck was lying unconscious there in the boarding lounge. Anybody could have easily gotten past the security lock by using Mr. Starbuck's prints. And actually, Mr. Starbuck's prints are exactly what we found on the device's screen.
Ah!
It looks like he does have something to hide about the Launchpad 1 door. And I'm betting it's got something to do with the culprit's escape route. But I don't have enough information to see the whole picture yet.
You know, something just occurred to me. Would you like to hear it?
Huh? Oh, yes, by all means.
There's a security camera in boarding lounge 1.
Right, the one that recorded the victim and the defendant. What about it, Your Honor?
If the true culprit escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, then that might be recorded on the security footage as well. Then the mystery would be solved. What do you think of my logic?
It's black, though. It just goes black, right? That was very quiet.
I hope you didn't strain your faculties too much for that, Your Boldness.
I beg your pardon?
Look, if we play the security footage beyond this point...
Oh my, the footage cuts off!
The camera was running on backup power, but apparently the power cables were damaged. Most likely by the after effects of the explosion. There is no footage after this, be it of criminals or space aliens.
And I thought it was such a good idea, too.
Just because your grandchild is watching from the gallery, it doesn't mean you should try to show off too much. Grandpa Boldness.
Prosecutor Blackquill, how did you know about my grandchild?
I think his grandchild just learned a little about the harshness of the adult world. Setting aside the issue of grandchildren, I'd like to have the witness continue. Director Cosmos, could you tell us more about when you entered the lounge?
If I must.
I had to avoid getting shot, right? After the killer vanished, I went into the lounge. Okay, info update. But that's when Detective Arm appeared from the elevator side door. And then, the detective shot at me! Alright, he's angry, scared, spooked, whatever, and surprised. That all kind of makes sense? So you see, the killer could have only escaped to the launch pad, right? Why does he feel nothing there? That's weird. Alright, Athena, help us out. What do you think about Director Cosmos' emotional responses, Athena? Actually, my cat is really sick, you know? What? Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. And on top of that, my dog just doesn't seem to want to play with me. Why are you telling me all this now? Just hear me, okay? Now, when you heard about my cat, and then about my dog, which story made you feel sadder? The story about your cat, of course, it's only natural. Exactly, that would be the natural reaction. But there's nothing natural about the director's reactions. I think how each individual reaction changes across the whole testimony will be the key. Sounds unnaturally complicated, but that somehow doesn't surprise me. Alright, that's a good hint. So let's see what we got here. We're starting out, right? And the director is... So he hid to avoid getting shot. That makes sense. Because he's scared. is. He's scared. He's surprised. And then the detective shot. Then he adds anger. So you see, the killer could have only escaped to the launch pad, right? Alright. Let's see, is he not scared when Detective Arm showed up, maybe? When we view your emotions alongside your testimony, we find the unexpected emotion... Wait a minute. There really isn't anything strange here. Oh, okay. We did it wrong. I don't know, but I think maybe we made a mistake, Mr. Wright. I think maybe you're right. Let's take another look. There must be an unexpected emotion here somewhere. Alright, let's see. Wait a minute. Alright, let's look at it again. He had to avoid getting shot. Yeah. So he's afraid, he's afraid. He's surprised. Really surprised. Hang on. So he's super, super scared. Then he's slightly scared when he went into the lounge. Then he's super surprised. Then he becomes slightly scared, slightly mad, and slightly surprised. Why is he only slightly surprised that he got fired at? And then he has no emotions at all at this point. Okay. It's weird that he's only slightly scared going into the room following the killer versus being super scared. Like, I don't know. What Athena said about emotions changing, that's what I'm thinking here. Because he's ridiculously scared getting shot at, which makes sense. But if he's going into a dark room chasing after a killer, you would think he'd be more scared. Right? Then he's super shocked when Detective Arm comes in. And then he becomes less shocked when she... That's weird, too. He's, like, less shocked at her... Wait. What Athena said. Isn't it weird? Wouldn't it... What would it give the bigger emotion? The first thing. So... Is it that he's less surprised when he gets shot at? Let's try it. Director Cosmos, why were you so surprised when Detective Arm found you, and again when she fired? Isn't that a bit unnatural?
Sadly, even great men such as myself have ordinary human feelings. Our bodies are bound by the forces of gravity and emotions. Even a great man such as myself experiences surprise on occasion.
Yes, I'm sure you do. But my real point is not the fact that you were surprised, but rather what you were surprised by.
Pardon me?
First, you were surprised when Detective Arm found you in the lounge. And just after that, you were of course again surprised when she shot at you. But considering what you were surprised about, a strange phenomenon occurs here. Director Cosmos, what is strange about your surprised reaction is the fact that you were surprised twice, not surprised by something else, more surprised when Arm came. Let me see. Was it... I thought it was that he was less surprised when she shot at him. Maybe this is the statement then? More surprised? Let's see. Sure, you were surprised when Detective Arm shot at you, but the surprise you felt when she found you in the lounge was much greater.
Yeah!
The fact that you were more surprised by simply being found than by being shot at suggests to me that you were conflicted about whatever it was you were doing there.
The enemy has acquired a new weapon! Commence operation! Hide under your desk! Ah!
Please tell me I finally sunk his battleship. Oh my gosh. A board game reference, even. Okay, we're knocking down the noise. Boss, I'm getting less Discord now. That must mean he really is hiding something about that launch pad door. And whatever he's hiding most likely has something to do with the killer's escape. I wonder what it could be. If he was doing something suspicious around that door, maybe we can spot some change between before he came to the room and after. Detective Fulbright gave us a photo taken after the crime. Let's run a comparison. Let's see. This is footage of the door before Director Cosmos arrived. And this is how the door looked after the director entered the lounge. Hey, look at that. There is a change. Something's definitely different. All right, can we compare it real quick? So that's... Okay, hang on. Let's look at this. Door's open. We got this thing here. I can't remember what we decided that was last time. It'll hopefully come to me. And the door's open. This pad's here with the handprint, and then the moon runes, whatever language this is. And then we have the panel there. Okay, now let's look at the picture that we have. Look at that. The door's closed. Wait, that's up. Is that up in the picture? No, it's not. It's horizontal. And in this, it's vertical. That is different. Director Cosmos.
What is it? What have you two been up to over there?
Finding the answer to what you were doing when Detective Arm found you, that's what. And that answer lies clearly in this footage. All we have to do is compare it to the photo that was taken during the investigation.
Don't be ridiculous. If you really do have an answer, you'd have pointed it out already.
He's asking for it. This is what changed directly after the incident. The answer is this knob.
That's...
Your Honor, please take a look at this footage.
Let's see.
Take a look at the knob next to the launch pad door. As you can see, it's horizontal.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
However, when we investigated the scene of the crime yesterday, the knob was vertical.
And what does that mean?
It means that sometime between before the director arrived and after, someone turned this knob.
Ah!
After the scene was discovered, you were the only one who could have turned the knob. Come on now, Director Cosmos, let's hear what you have to say. What were you trying to do by turning that knob by the door?
Fine, I admit it. You're right, I did turn that knob. That knob is a safety lock meant to keep the launch pad in place. I was afraid there would be more explosions, so I wanted to move the launch pad away.
You wanted to do what? Hey, didn't Honko tell us something about how they prepare for launch? She said that once the launch pad's fully assembled, it's moved to the launch site. Right. But the safety lock in the boarding lounge has to be disengaged first. I guess that clears up what that knob's for. Oh, so if the killer escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, maybe they were transported along with the launch pad to the launch site. I don't think so. The Launchpad 1 corridor was filled with smoke. I don't think they could have escaped through that corridor. So then where did the killer escape to? I guess there are still some things we have to uncover. Director Cosmos, I request that you tell us about moving the launch pad in more detail.
Fine, but listen carefully, for I'm about to give history-making testimony.
Ah, we're back to this then, huh? I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. Okay. He's happy, and he's afraid. Why is he happy? I fear there might be more explosions. He's very afraid. That tracks. Don't know why he's happy in this statement, though. So I had to cut the launch pad loose. Surely the only escape the killer had was through launch pad 1. He's mad about that. Here we got an update. But that area was a sea of smoke. He has no emotions at all about that. Why? Confound it, where on earth could they have gone? The director seems driven into a corner now. I can tell he's having a hard time hiding his true feelings. Just one final push, then. His attempts to conceal the truth shouldn't be all that hard for us to break through. If we keep at it calmly, I'm sure we'll cross the finish line. Alright. His happiness? That's weird to me. I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. You make it sound like you were reluctant to do so, and yet when you did it, you felt some joy, as if you were very pleased with yourself.
Ah! How did you do it? How do you know everything as if you were there?
Pretty impressive, isn't it? This is the power of analytical psychology. So, care to explain why you felt joy when you disengaged the safety lock? And when I think back on the facts we've discovered up to this point, I have to believe that you were trying to fulfill some hidden agenda.
Ah! How did you know about that, too?
Because I'm more or less a pro at guessing.
But you have no proof that I had a hidden agenda. And even if I did, I would never, ever tell you. So there!
I know they say people regress as they grow older, but you, sir, take the cake.
And how could you doubt a man with such great intensity, intelligence, and integrity?
Silence.
You, a man of integrity, you don't make me laugh.
Prosecutor Blackwell? What came over him all of a sudden?
You've spouted nothing but falsities since you stepped up to the stand. You're not the kind of man that will be glorified in the annals of history. Not for greatness, anyway. Unless you consider greatest barefaced liar an honor.
Liar!
Ugh, his words bite harder than his blade.
You moved launch pad 1 after the explosions? My, how naive you are. You fail to realize how even the facts themselves have betrayed you.
You know, just a thought, but modern English can be your friend.
And here's a thought for you immediately following the bombing. Launchpad 1 was on the boarding lounge 1 side. The police confirmed this on scene.
What?
Liar!
So that means the director didn't move the launch pad?
Curse my judgment for calling history's greatest liar to the witness stand. Let us leave him to indulge in his lies and war games to his heart's content.
Liar!
But it doesn't make sense. You can't deny that someone turned that knob. And once the safety lock was released, I'm sure the pad must have went somewhere. If we chase down the truth of this issue, we just might find where the killer escaped to.
Ah!
You're sure it must have went somewhere? We just might find out. Your arguments are nothing but conjecture, bluffing, and wishful thinking. Stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is. Or are you not man enough to, boy? Ah!
Talk about hitting below the belt. Youngins these days. I don't understand it. I'm sure Director Cosmos must have moved the launch pad. The knob was definitely turned after we came to the lounge. But the launch pad is right where it's supposed to be.
Ah!
Wait a minute. Maybe I have it all backwards. What if the director turned the knob, not to move the launch pad away, but to bring it back to where it was supposed to be?
What are you blathering about?
What if the launch pad was at the launch site before the incident? And then after the incident, Director Cosmos moved it back to its usual spot. All you had to do was turn the knob to call the launch pad back. And it would be right where the police found it. Ah! You made him sigh like Mr. Stark. Was what I said really that off base?
It pains me to have to explain how wrong your own logic is to you. However, our great liar turned the knob only after he discovered the crime scene. Indeed, the pad existed beyond the lounge when our Astro Wonders made their escape. A fact that has been recorded for posterity on filmless film.
All right.
So to reiterate, stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is, boy. Ah!
Get a grip, Mr. Wright, and focus. We know that launch pad must have been moved. But our deductions and the actual facts of the case are in direct contradiction to each other. Well, maybe the two astronauts never really boarded the rocket. This footage could be fake, taken with body doubles after the incident or something. On second thought, that's too far-fetched even for me. Never actually boarded the rocket. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe just maybe. Huh? Prosecutor Blackquill, what if I told you that the two astronauts never set foot inside the launch pad area, but instead went to another place? And what if, when the director moved Launchpad 1 back, it was not from the launch site, but from another place? What would you say then?
Cut the existential bull or I'll cut you.
Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself at once.
I know I'm right. I was all the other way around from the beginning. Very well, Your Honor, let me explain. Director Cosmos' reason for moving Launchpad 1 was to hide it, to switch it with another place, or to trap the true killer. Well, the other place is the museum, right? Yeah. Interesting. So, let's look at this again. Let's look at the Space Center brochure. So, this is the... Alright, so Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum. We got that. And then we got this. The shelter and all that. Yeah, whatever. We have the Launchpad door lock. That doesn't really matter. Alright, I don't have that map that they showed earlier, which is unfortunate. Alright, I don't think it was to trap the true killer, because I am still thinking he might be the killer. Hiding Launchpad 1, that doesn't make any sense. To switch it with another place makes the most sense to me at this moment. Let's see. Because he wanted to switch it with some other place.
I'm sorry, but did you say switch it? Who could he possibly have switched the Launchpad with?
Oh, you'd be surprised, Your Honor. All it takes is a little thinking outside the box, and the answer becomes clear as day. This is what was switched with Launchpad 1, the Space Museum. Duh.
Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum.
In the past, the Space Museum used to be Launchpad 2. It has all the same features as Launchpad 1, and can even be moved to the launch site. Meaning the Space Museum and Launchpad 1 can also be switched with each other.
You can't mean...
The rocket the astronauts boarded was not the one in Launchpad 1. It was the one in the Space Museum.
What?
Boulder Dash!
Yeah, this is... What? This is getting crazy. And yet, it's the only explanation that accounts for every riddle and inconsistency. This is how the Space Center was just before the incident. I see Launchpad 1...
I see Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum have already switched places.
That's right. And with the two switched like this, the astronauts entered the Space Museum from boarding Lounge 1. This allowed the true killer to enter Launchpad 1 from boarding Lounge 2 and set the bomb on the rocket. Come to think of it, the door to the Space Museum from Boarding Lounge 2... Welcome, welcome. The Space Museum is open to the public every day of the year from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Exactly. Anyone could pass through the door to the Space Museum. There is no fingerprint recognition system on that door. In other words, with the 2 launch pads switched like that, someone other than Mr. Starbuck could have easily planted that bomb. Ah! After setting the bomb on the rocket, the culprit snuck into Boarding Lounge 1 and waited there, concealed, in order to kill Mr. Terran when the 2 astronauts emerged from the Space Museum. Recall that Miss Blackquill, Mr. Starbuck, and the director all saw a suspicious figure, who we can suppose, after killing Mr. Terran, made their escape into the Space Museum. After that, Director Cosmos switched the 2 launch pads back, without realizing the killer was inside the Space Museum. Oh. The killer then left the Space Museum and made a clean getaway.
Ah!
Right, Dono. I see you know how to handle a sword, and handle it well. Perhaps I should call you Swordmaster Bluff.
I'm a seasoned warrior who has cut down many a prosecutor.
But unless you can prove your theory, it's no better than a rusty sword.
That's right! You have no proof I switched the launch pads!
Somebody needs a better anger management counselor. If the launch pads really were switched, there might be a record of it somewhere. At this point, Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched with each other. So the corridor beyond the door should be the one that belongs to the Space Museum. Let's see. This is an image of the Launchpad 1 corridor. Do you see anything different when we compare it to the security footage? Huh? That number on the floor. Well, what do you know? It looks like we have proof after all, Prosecutor Blackquill. Oh, it's 2. Yeah.
And if this is just another bluff?
Oh, don't worry. It's all right here. Right in this footage. Proof that beyond this door is the corridor to the Space Museum.
Very well then. Answer this for me if you would. What in this footage proves that the corridor belongs to the Space Museum?
The 2 right there. Not there. There. There's a 1 on the floor of the Launchpad 1 corridor. But take a look at the floor of the corridor in the security footage. Do you see the number on the floor behind the astronauts? It doesn't look like a 1, does it? That's because what you see is actually part of a 2.
What?
Why is it a 2 and not a 1? That's because the corridor you see is the one to the Space Museum.
Ah! Oh!
And so that means the corridor in this footage was not filled with smoke. That's right, because the explosion didn't occur in the Space Museum. The explosion occurred in Launchpad 1, on the side opposite the Space Museum. And now we know that the 2 astronauts escaped from the Space Museum. The mystery from the previous trial of how they got down the ladder is cleared up. Mr. Terran, carrying Mr. Starbuck, simply took the elevator from the upper level down to the middle level.
Just incredible! The 2 launch pads were actually switched! But you'd think someone would have noticed an event of this magnitude?
Everyone was down in the basement shelter when the launch pads were swapped back. There's no way anyone could have known what was happening on the surface.
Ah!
All right, 0% noise. Awesome. All right. Bye-bye. Yeah. No more lies, Director Cosmos. It's high time you told us the truth.
Ah! My honor,
My glory! Everything is slipping away! Time to deploy my ultimate weapon! Galactic engine! Ignition! What? It's gone haywire! Ah! It won't stop! Yeah! My stars! My glory! Yeah! No! No, not that way! Ah!
He made a cartoon outline of himself.
Bailiff, on your steed and after that witness!
He's escaping on a Segway.
I see we managed to retrieve you before you came to any bodily harm.
Director Cosmos, do you admit you switched the launch pads?
I admit it's true. I switched Launchpad 1 for the Space Museum.
It is good to hear words I can believe for a change. Before you do, Your Honor, two things. First, we don't know if Mr. Terran had prior knowledge of the switch. As for Mr. Starbuck, he was unaware of his surroundings thanks to his medication. Either way, Mr. Terran would have realized the instant he stepped into the Space Museum that it had been switched with Launchpad 1. So my first question is, if the Space Museum was perfectly fine, why did Mr. Terran feel the need to put on such a dramatic display? As for my second question, I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the two launch pads to begin with.
Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. But I will say my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast.
The director is terrified. He must have one heck of a reason for not wanting to explain why. Probably not a good time to try to pry it out of him, huh?
Excuse me, but would you mind if I picked up my stars? Without my badge of rank, I am nothing. I don't see why not. Bailiff, help the director retrieve his stars. It appears the possibility of a culprit other than the defendant has presented itself. Mr. Starbuck, is there anything you wish to say? I don't get it. Don't get it? What don't you get?
Director, why did you do all that? From the very beginning, you never meant for the launch to go ahead, did you?
You tricked us!
Mr. Starbuck.
Starbuck, my boy, I'm sorry. I can't tell you the reason why, but I had to do it to protect the Space Center. Director! Will I ever get the chance to go into space again? Yes, of course. I won't rest until it happens. I will get you into space again, my boy. Then the dream is still alive.
Silence.
You're not going into space, Starbuck. But prison, I won't have it any other way.
Why are you so hung up on him?
Yes, I accept that the launch pads really were switched. And if there were a third person at the scene, I suppose they could have escaped. But I have yet to see proof of this third person's escape via the Space Museum.
Oh, that's a good point.
He's right. I don't have any proof.
Starbuck, you will spill everything you know.
What? Me?
Where did you get those bombs? Tell me now. If you don't, my blade shall feast on your blood.
Gah! If I'm gonna die, I want to die in space.
I have to do something.
Solomon Starbuck, prepare yourself Now you know violence isn't the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell. Oh, that annoyingly cheerful laugh can be none other than... I knew it. Champion of righteousness Bobby Fulbright here. In justice we trust. Detective Fulbright? Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Lawyer. Hope I'm not too late. I don't believe we had an appointment. I tried to hurry, but I ended up helping a little old lady cross the street. And then I had to break up a cat fight. I tell you, justice sure is a full-time job. Was it a fight between cats, or... Anyway, why are you here again? Because the defendant isn't the culprit, and I came to make sure that justice is served. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Fulbright, I always thought you were a bit touched in the head. But have you finally succumbed? Nope, but it looks like you've succumbed to this phantom of yours. Open your eyes and let the evidence of justice uncloud your judgment. What evidence? Come to think of it, he did say something about finding us some evidence. Yeah, thanks, you too. I feel a lot better now that I've been able to get that off my chest. I'm gonna work extra hard to find that perfect piece of evidence for you. I didn't think he was serious, though. So, what is it, Detective? Is it something that will prove Mr. Starbuck innocent? It is indeed. Have a look at this.
What's this? A lighter?
That's right. A lighter thought to have been used by the culprit, no less. The Space Museum's cleaning robot picked it up. It has the victim Clay Terran's blood, along with his killer's fingerprints on it. Hang on a second, the Cosmos lighter. Oh, we don't have... I was like, hang on a second. I've seen that before somewhere. What? Ah!
Order! Order! Detective Fulbright, can I assume that the fingerprints don't belong to the defendant?
You bet. Mr. Starbuck is totally innocent. This is it. This is just what I needed. Lighter added to the court record. The lighter found on the floor of the Space Museum. The true culprit's fingerprints are on it in the victim's blood. This feels incredibly convenient, and I am extremely suspicious of this lighter. Your Honor, this is decisive evidence that supports the defense's earlier claim.
Explain yourself, Mr. Wright.
With pleasure, Your Honor. Recall where this lighter was found. Based on that, we can extrapolate that after the killer murdered Mr. Terran, they escaped with lighter in hand into the Space Museum, where they dropped it. The switching of the two launch pads occurred. Then finally, the killer left through boarding lounge 2 and made their escape. Meanwhile, Mr. Starbuck was found in boarding lounge 1 after the murder. A fact that Director Cosmos has testified to. Therefore, Mr. Starbuck couldn't have possibly been the one to drop the lighter there.
But the defendant had free reign of the area until Director Cosmos appeared. Could he not have dropped the lighter in the Space Museum during that span of time?
You'd like that to be true, wouldn't you? But Director Cosmos testified that right after he saw the mysterious figure with the lighter, he went into the lounge and found the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. In other words, Mr. Starbuck wouldn't have had the time to double back to the museum. No, Prosecutor Blackwell, this lighter could only have been dropped by the real killer.
Ugh.
Most importantly, Mr. Starbuck's fingerprints were nowhere to be found on this lighter. I think you understand what this means, don't you? This piece of evidence unequivocally proves that Mr. Starbuck wasn't the culprit.
Gah! This does indeed appear to be decisive evidence that proves the defense's claims.
As for the remote switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket,
we can assume it was planted by the killer on the unconscious Mr. Starbuck.
No, there must be some mistake.
Frankly, Prosecutor Blackquill, I've been worried about you. You've been chasing this phantom for 7 whole years. I understand your urgency because tomorrow... What? Tomorrow what?
Fool, Bright, you promised never to speak of that.
Huh? Tomorrow? What about tomorrow?
Given the body of evidence, I think it's safe to say the defendant is innocent. In light of the fact that it was impossible for him to have committed the crime, a few unanswered questions remain, so I look forward to seeing what you two uncover. But for now, this court finds the defendant, Solomon Starbuck,
Not guilty. Okay. Cool. Okay. There's another shoe dropping any second now, I'm sure. I don't feel good about this at all. Yes, we did it, Mr. Wright. Looks like we pulled it off somehow, huh? And with some help from Detective Fulbright. Mr. Wright, Miss Sykes, thank you. And please thank Apollo for me, too.
you all are the best.
Oh, I wish we could tell Apollo about Mr. Starbuck's verdict right now. Yeah, me too. But that's gonna have to wait.
Now that a verdict has been reached, I'd like to bring today's trial to a close. Court is adjourned.
Objection!
Ah. It's too late to object, isn't it?
It simply isn't possible. Something's wrong.
Prosecutor Blackquill, are you dissatisfied with the verdict?
Fulbright! What were the results of the fingerprint analysis for the lighter?
Huh? The results? Well, I was in a hurry, you see, and then there was that cat fight, and, well...
I kind of got carried away when I heard the prints weren't Mr. Starbuck, so... You have yet to read it?
Prosecutor Blackquill, can you read out who the prints belong to?
Upon thorough analysis, the fingerprints were found to be Athena Sykes. So says the report.
What?
What?
Huh?
Me? What?
Order, I say! Order! Miss Sykes! Tell me you have an explanation for this! We just finished proving that this lighter could only belong to the killer! So, finding your prints on it can only lead us to one grave conclusion.
I don't know how they got on there, but I know I'm not the culprit. Oh, wow, I was expecting them to belong to Apollo. You know what? I was too. I was thinking it was absolutely going to be Apollo because he left the agency and something weird's going on. This can't be happening. We built up our argument piece by piece, and I don't think any of our reasoning was faulty. So how could it have led to this? Lighter updated in the court record. All right.
Gah! What have I done? Please forgive me. I'm sorry.
Order! Order! Detective Fulbright, stop your crying!
What in the world is happening here? It's like the world's gone mad.
Order! Order! I will have order!
Confusion spiraled into utter chaos. After all we'd fought for, the truth had turned cruelly on us to accuse Athena of the crimes. Somewhere, somehow, everything had gone terribly wrong. We had stumbled over the edge of reason and into the jaws of a twisted darkness. Oh, that's the end of the case. Okay. So I guess the next case is The continuation? So I was right. Haha! Vindication. Do I know this series or what? All right. Turnabout for Tomorrow. Oh, that's an interesting name, especially because I just got done talking about tomorrow. Let's go. I'm ready. Continue? Yeah, you bet. No one can escape their past. Okay, we're gonna figure out what this all means then. The sins we've committed and the sadness we've caused. Oh! So, wait. Somebody was killed in front of Athena, and it was Black Quill who did the killing. Huh. Interesting. No matter how far we run, our past remains, as ever present as the moon in the sky. We got Punished Apollo in the courtroom. It looms in wait for the day when we are forced to face it. The ruined courtroom, but only in doing so can we truly make peace and move on and hope towards tomorrow. Okay. Very, very, rousing speech there, Phoenix. Now, what does it mean? December 20th, so it's the same day, 1:23 p.m., Write Anything Agency. I mean, okay, so the lighter thing, right? It's not like false evidence and false convictions have been something this game has set up from the very beginning with the whole Dark Age of the Law thingamajig that, you know, has been in it before. So I'm not like thinking it's that big of a deal, but I mean, that's something they've set up as a theme. So the lighter is bogus. I'm just going to say that now. But the question is, who falsified it? That's what we're going to have to find out. Let's go. They took Athena from the courtroom straight to the station. She's probably being questioned at this very moment. Yeah. Just Phoenix again. And Trucy. Remember Trucy? Game. Hey, you remember her? She was kind of cool. After this past year, I took it for granted that these two would always be here. But now Apollo has gone off on his own to seek his own truth. And my pursuit of the truth only ended up with Athena becoming the new suspect. Some boss I turned out to be. Hey, there you are. It's even quieter in here than usual. Yeah, it seems so empty, too. I just don't get it, Daddy. All of your reasoning during the trial seemed perfectly solid. Yeah, and I still believe it was, at least based on what we know. But now Athena is the one who's being accused. During the trial for the bombing and murder that occurred at the Cosmos Space Center, the lighter used by the real culprit was found. This lighter proved the defendant, Solomon Starbuck, innocent. But Athena's prints were found on it instead. And she was subsequently arrested for the murder. But Athena couldn't have done it. It just doesn't make any sense. No, none of it does. I've been racking my brain, but I just can't figure it out. Ah, where is the flaw in my reasoning? What have I got wrong in this case? You know, Daddy, if Athena was here, she wouldn't just be sitting around thinking. She'd be out there doing something. You are going to defend Athena, right, Daddy? Of course I will. And thanks, Trucy. I needed that push. Trucy's right. The trial is tomorrow. There's no time to waste. If I'm going to prove Athena's innocence, I better get out there and find some evidence. Off we go, then. We're on a hunt for evidence that'll prove Athena's innocence. Great, but before we go, I better tidy up the evidence I have on hand. Unnecessary evidence left in... Oh, we're starting with all our evidence from the previous trial, so... Our case. That's good. So this really is just a full-on sequel. Athena is probably still in the middle of being questioned. So Trucy's right. The thing to start with is talking to people at the Space Center. All right. Hey! You're back! Look at my attorney's badge. I guess presenting your attorney's badge is like your quick trick, huh, Daddy? So it's just a trick to you, huh? Well, you are one of the talents in our Write Anything agency, after all. But I have to say that an attorney's badge won't get many laughs. I don't care if I don't get laughs, as long as I can clear my client's name. That's a good one, Daddy. I'm no match for you, though, Trucy. Alright, so what do we have left? We have the autopsy report. Interesting that we kept that. The space diagram, that makes sense. The knife, okay. So Terran's murder is still relevant. Makes sense. The Launchpad 1 door, the security camera. So I wonder if he's right, if there's some tomfoolery going on in this one. And the Space Center pamphlet. Okay, we got that. And we have the Hope capsule, which, again, I am going to say, that is not just asteroid samples in there. Something's up with that thing. And then we have Aura's statement. The pair held a lighter with an Earth emblem on it in their left hand and a knife in their right. Right. Wait, left hand. Okay. Well, keep an eye on that. And then the evidence found by Detective Fulbright, it has Athena's prints on it. Okay. All right, let's go. I'm excited Trucy's back because this game has basically ignored her for the entirety. December 20th, Cosmos Space Center. Entrance. Director Cosmos, do you have a minute?
Ah! Galactic Scooter! Full speed ahead!
Director! He scooted away. His expression changed the instant he saw you, Daddy. Yeah, well, I dragged his name through the mud pretty good at the trial earlier today. Oh, you got nothing to say? All right. Well, nothing relevant, at least. Let's go to the lounge. December 20th, Cosmos Space Center. Boarding lounge. We were here only yesterday. Oh, hey. Mr. Starbuck, you've been released, huh?
Yup, and I came straight here. This is all thanks to you and your team, Mr. Wright. You've given me a second chance to fly into space again. I can't thank you enough. Except... What's wrong?
I thought I'd be happy to be acquitted.
As I was coming out of the detention center, I saw Miss Sykes.
He saw Athena?
I was at a loss for words. I didn't know what to say to the poor girl. And then, you know what? She flashed a peace sign at me. Congratulations on your acquittal, she said. Now you can go back into space someday.
Yeah, that sounds like Athena. I can just picture it.
But I saw her eyes. They were red and swollen from crying. She's gotta be suffering. She must be so worried. And yet she went out of her way to be nice and give me that big smile.
She held back her own tears so she could give someone else a smile. That's so Athena.
There's no question about it. That girl is innocent. Please, Mr. Wright, you have to make sure she goes free. And then they can put me in prison instead. I don't mind.
We can't have that either, Mr. Starbuck.
Don't worry, Mr. Starbuck.
I'm gonna give her the very best defense I can. I promise to get her acquitted, just like I did for you.
I know she'll be all right with you in her corner. I know you'll never give up on her. Apollo has a fine boss to look up to.
Alright, let's talk about the murder.
I still can't believe Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum.
What could have made Director Cosmos do such a thing?
I haven't the foggiest idea. So there never was going to be a launch that day. Not from the very beginning. I wonder if Clay knew.
I imagine he must have. Surely he would have noticed when you went to board the rocket.
It's pathetic to think I was the only one who got taken in. But I guess that's about how it goes when you're worth less than space debris.
Is he gonna be alright, Daddy? His expression looks as dark as a black hole. Well, that's just how he is. Talk about the murderer. Mr. Starbuck, do you remember anything about the murderer?
Not really. Only saw a shadowy figure in the dark after all.
Yeah, I guess that was a little too much to hope for.
Hey, I heard something from the police though. They said they never did find a 10 caliber gun down that trash chute.
Just as I thought. The culprit must have carried it away with them when they escaped. So was the person you saw holding a gun, Mr. Starbuck? Holding a gun, Mr. Starbuck. I said that wrong.
I couldn't really tell.
But it wasn't Athena, right? Could you tell if the person was male or female, tall or short?
I can't even tell you that much. Man, I'm useless. When the culprit opened the door and some light came in, I should have been able to see.
The door. Ah, yes. As I recall, they opened this door here as they made their escape. The door to Launchpad 1, right?
Yeah, except right now, the door leads to the Space Museum.
You mean the Launchpad and the Space Museum are switched right now?
Yeah, they're trying to investigate the theory you came up with in court.
So they're recreating the conditions, huh? I'd like to see what's beyond that door now. Mr. Starbuck, could you open this door for us?
Sure. Just let me have my print scanned here and...
Alright, switching the launch pads. Do the launch pads get switched back and forth a lot?
Well, back when the Space Museum was Launchpad 2, they used to switch the pads around at times.
But these days, Launchpad 2 is only used as a tourist attraction, right?
Right. Because, quite frankly, the Space Center needs the money.
I hear ya. Times sure are tough. Daddy, let's go check out what's beyond that door. Sure, let's go.
Hey, why don't I come along? I can show you around.
Alright. Oh wait, leaves. Huh? I wonder what these dead leaves are doing here. Maybe they were stuck to the bottom of somebody's shoes. There are lots of trees around the Space Center. She's right. It's a modern, state-of-the-art building, but it's surrounded by trees. But I don't know if they were stuck to the bottom of somebody's shoes. Wouldn't they look more crushed up? These don't look like they've been stepped on. Maybe there's some kind of secret hatch in the corridor, and they came in that way. Not everything is set up like a magician's stage, you know? Yeah. What we got here? So this is another one of those devices for opening the door, huh?
Yup, but this one doesn't require fingerprint verification. You just hit the button and open sesame.
So when you and Clay went through here, you didn't need to show your prints either? That's right, Trucy. Just like how the culprit didn't need to scan their prints. When they escaped back out of the Space Museum corridor into Boarding Lounge 2. Launchpad 1 door lock updated. Alright. The biometric print authentication isn't required from the Launchpad side. That's good to know. Well, I don't see anything else that jumps out at me. And I imagine this corridor is built exactly like the Launchpad 1 corridor. Okay. Can you tell me more about the Hope Capsule? Do you know anything about this piece of evidence?
No, sorry. I'm so useless.
No, it's all right. There's no need to get all depressed. I know what you can tell me. Tell me about my badge. Oh, he has nothing to say about the badge. What about the lighter? No, he has nothing to say about the lighter either. Weird. Okay. We cannot do any more examining. Is there anything we can do? Put the security cam video? No? Alright. Or a statement, maybe? No. Have we exhausted everything Mr. Starbuck can tell us? Maybe. I'll tell you what. Does that mean if we go back to the entrance, something new will happen? Aha! December 20th, Cosmos Space Center entrance.
Ugh, curse the wretch who sullied my good name! Reverse course in full speed away!
Director Cosmos, wait! I'll handle this, Daddy. Take that!
Gah! The mobility system has been compromised!
Trucy's knife throw was a direct hit to one of his tires. And the streak continues. Maybe I should have kept a closer watch on what tricks she's been practicing.
My dear old battleship, we fought many a skirmish together. It has been an honor.
Daddy, he's gonna blow that thing up. Nah, I bet all that button will do is make it go haywire again.
Very well. I surrender. As a prisoner of war, I expect to be treated honorably.
Well, first, look at my attorney's badge. Excuse me, but about this piece of evidence.
Let me ask you a question. What will that object contribute to the future of mankind?
What? Not much, I guess.
Huh. Then how important could it be? Quite unlike the great historical figure, Yuri Cosmos. Ha 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 ha!
If he's any more self-absorbed, he'll turn into his very own black hole. Alright. Switching the launch pad. Director Cosmos, when you were talking in court about switching the launch pads, you used your right to remain silent about the reason as to why. Yeah, I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the two launch pads to begin with.
Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. But I will say, my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast. The center of the cosmos is shrouded in mystery, but I don't have any secrets left. Now that my battleship has been destroyed and I've been taken prisoner.
Oh. Yeah. No secrets left, huh? I beg to differ. Looks like I'll have to undo his psych locks if I want to get to the bottom of this. Alright. I'm hoping we have enough evidence to go off of. Behind the switching of the launch pads. I want you to tell me everything you're hiding about the switching of the two launch pads.
I refuse. You can't make me. I can hold out longer than anyone.
I hope I never get like this when I'm old. Now let's see. Where to start? This is how you explain your motive for switching the launch pads. You did it to save the astronauts. Thanks to you switching the launch pads, the astronauts escaped injury from the blast. Instead, they safely boarded the museum's rocket far away from the actual explosion.
My astronauts were ramming to go out on an authentic adventure in space. How do you propose I had them board a fake rocket without them noticing?
I agree you couldn't have done it without help. For one, they would have figured it out the instant they stepped into the Space Museum. You figured you could fool Mr. Starbuck once he'd been drugged with his medication, but without the help of this person, it would have been impossible to pull your plan off. Clay, he had to have known. You must have gotten Mr. Terran to help you.
Ugh!
He stole the tranquilizers from his mentor's locker and slipped them to him. And then, with Mr. Starbuck in a daze, they boarded the replica rocket in the museum.
Ah! Someone please help this poor prisoner of war!
How was he able to spin around like that? If you really wanted to save the astronauts' lives, shouldn't you have just called off the launch?
If I could have done that, do you think I would have gone to all that trouble?
I guess he must have had a compelling reason why he couldn't call it off. But how did you know to switch the pads in advance of the bombing incident?
Well, that's because I was warned in advance. Once I received that warning, it was my duty to ensure my astronaut safety.
But it was just a warning. It could have even have been a prank. Why did you believe in it so completely?
Because I went to one of those mediums that everyone's talking about these days. Wait a minute.
Oh, I didn't realize channeling was back in vogue. Besides, I thought it was you yourself that got the warning via telephone.
Yes, that's right. The bomber contacted me personally. My battleship is equipped with a special advanced communication system, you see?
AKA regular old telephone.
It's been a while. Planning another launch? I see you haven't learned. I'll never forget the terror I felt when I received that call.
The bomber said it's been a while. And that was enough to make you take the threat seriously? Perhaps Director Cosmos took the threat so seriously because the Space Center had been involved in a bombing once before. Maybe. The culprit in the current case is the same person who was involved in this incident. The Hat 2 bombing? Oh no, the courtroom bombing, right? It was the courtroom bombing, wasn't it? That's when you were dealt a major blow.
Do you really think blowing up a courtroom would have shaken the center of the cosmos?
I guess I got it wrong. The director felt personally threatened, so it has to be something more relevant. Right. The Hat 2 bombing? The Hat 2 bombing. That must be where the answer to your secret lies.
All hands! Ready the Galactic Scooter's main turrets! Teach us blockhead! What a precision shot is all about!
Ah, you got me. I guess I was way off on that one. No, it's... Okay, so it's the Miracle? Alright. The Hat 1 Miracle, that epic story of survival. People across the nation know it now as a heroic tale of bravery. But in truth, it was an act of sabotage perpetrated by our current killer, wasn't it? Very few knew about the previous plot, so when the killer said it's been a while, you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that the danger was real and it wasn't a prank.
Gah! Didn't anyone ever tell you to go easy on an ex-serviceman? Yes, the Hat 1 Miracle was really a desperate battle against an act of sabotage. I even lost the life of one of my staff members in the fight.
Sabotage, murder. So this is the ugly truth behind the Hat 1 Miracle.
I let my guard down. I thought the saboteur had been caught, and that the case was closed.
Huh? Wait a minute. The murder at the Space Center 7 years ago. This must be the person Director Cosmos thought was the culprit. Wait. Blackwell, right? Because we saw him in the... Simon Blackwell, the murder suspect in a case that happened here 7 years ago. The place and time of the two incidents, the murder and the sabotage, were the same. So you thought that he committed both crimes. But while Prosecutor Blackwell was behind bars, you got another threat. If the culprit this time is the same as 7 years ago, then it isn't Simon Blackwell. Realizing that, you were shaken. It meant the true culprit's been running free all this time.
How do you keep seeing straight through me?
It's because I have a psychic gem that lets me see when you're lying and exactly what I need to do to fix your lies, that's all. Switching the launch pads. The reason why Director Cosmos won't talk about why he switched the launch pads is connected to the truth behind the Hat 1 Miracle. The sabotage and murder that happened at the Space Center 7 years ago. Director Cosmos, tell us what you're hiding.
If you really want to understand the reason I decided to switch the launch pads, we'll have to start with the story of that horrible nightmare from 7 years ago.
7 years ago. You mean the so-called Hat One miracle? Not like anything horribly traumatizing happened to Phoenix 7 years ago either.
The launch went smoothly, but once the ship entered outer space, then the troubles began. It was all the handiwork of a certain person and their evil scheme.
So Mr. Starbuck's traumatic experience wasn't accidental.
Not only that, but before the launch, a very valuable piece of moon rock was stolen. But that wasn't the worst of it. One of my staff members was murdered!
Wow, I had no idea such awful events were behind that exciting story of space heroism.
All that, in spite of the Space Center having very strict security in those days. All personal effects were examined thoroughly, coming or going. You couldn't even smuggle a withered old leaf through those checkpoints.
Wait a minute. Why would you say that? Why would you say that so specifically? Huh? So, do you have any clue who was responsible for the sabotage?
At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackquill. I don't know enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy.
A spy? You mean somebody who infiltrates a foreign country? Carries out dangerous missions? And always gets the girl? Someone's watching way too many late-night movies. Well, I guess if we're talking about blowing up a rocket and stealing research material, it's not all that surprising that a spy could be behind it all. Huh. A spy, huh? The spy.
Make no mistake, there's cutthroat rivalry between nations in the space R&D race. Some try to outdo others by any means possible, even deliberate obstruction. 7 years ago, we got a call before the launch warning us of sabotage.
The same MO as this time.
Yes, and here I thought the perpetrator had been caught. But it looks like I was wrong.
Prosecutor Blackquill seems more like a ninja than a spy, don't you think? Aren't ninjas and spies basically the same thing?
But there's a good reason we failed to find the real spy. A massive cover-up by the government.
I mean, I know California ninjas are real. I've seen surf ninjas. I've seen 3 ninjas. I mean, that's all accurate stuff, right?
Government officials were too embarrassed to admit that they had allowed such a thing to happen at the hands of a spy.
Don't tell me they made the police rush the investigation.
They did indeed. And then, to cover up the sabotage, they cleaned up the story.
And that was the Hat One miracle, wasn't it? But then 7 years later, the same MO, advance warning of sabotage. That must have been the director's reason for switching the launch pads. Just like 7 years ago. 7 years ago, the spy gave you advance warning of their plans, just like last time. That was what made you decide to switch the launch pads, wasn't it?
That's right. The caller knew the facts of the case 7 years ago, despite the cover-up. They knew about the sabotage, the moon rock, the murder, and they said, "You don't want things to go like they did 7 years ago, do you?" I immediately thought of calling off the launch, but the government wouldn't let me. We don't give in to the likes of terrorists. We must proceed for our country's honor. It was quite a moving speech, actually.
Moving? Really? Maybe if you're easily inspired by political talking points.
But I knew the truth. We had been warned, which meant that the danger was very real. And I knew there was no way to stop the spy. No matter what they did, they would find a way. That's why I switched the launch pads and staged the moving rescue scene. First, I snuck into the center the night before and switched the launch pads. That way the astronauts would go from boarding lounge 1 to the Space Museum. Then I put a closed for repairs sign at the door to launch pad 1 and boarding lounge 2.
You did that so no normal visitors wouldn't enter, right? What else did you do?
I enlisted the help of several staff members, including Terran.
What, you didn't let Mr. Starbuck in on it?
He'd already been through enough, and he's no good at lying to keep a secret. I'm afraid I had no choice but to have him drugged. My plan went well until...
Clay's murder, huh?
After the culprit made their escape, I switched the launch pads back. I did it in such a way that no one would find out, but after all that effort, Terran is dead, and the hat too is destroyed. And the Hope capsule, which had returned to us only recently, was also lost in that blast. My home, the center of the cosmos, my beautiful Cosmos Space Center is done for!
Wait, what did he mean by the Hope capsule was lost in that blast? Yeah, what? I thought that the Hope capsule was found at the crime scene with Mr. Terran. It had just been brought back by the Hope space probe with asteroid samples inside. So what kind of samples are they? What's in them?
The samples are scheduled for analysis in the near future. We haven't had time since they just came back the day before Terran's murder. The capsule was being held in a safe in Launchpad 1, but I gave it to Terran before the incident so it wouldn't be destroyed in the explosion. The idea was that with it safely in Terran's possession, he could make it look like he rescued it during the staged miraculous escape. But our precious research materials ended up lost to that explosion anyway.
But I thought Clay was supposed to keep it safe.
You misunderstand. The launchpad explosion wasn't the one the capsule was lost to. It was lost after the police confiscated it as evidence. It was the courtroom bombing from the other day. The capsule was there in the courtroom as evidence and was blown to smithereens.
Yet another casualty of that blast.
Ultimately, I think the culprit may have known about the switching of the launch pads.
What? How?
The police found the wiretapping device during their investigation today. A bug aboard my battleship. A tap on my advanced communication system.
Oh no, it's red-white. Back from the dead. A wire on that phone?
Yes, a wire on this very phone. I used this phone to give instructions to my staff about the launchpad switch. Just to the few select members who knew about the plan. Just before the incident, staff members were coming in and out of Launchpad 1. The culprit probably slipped in with them amid the confusion.
And planted the bomb then. Yes, if they were tapping your phone, they definitely could pull something like that off. So you really think the same spy is behind this incident and the one 7 years ago?
Yes, I'm sure of it.
Then this spy must be the Phantom Prosecutor Blackwell has been chasing. But Prosecutor Blackwell told me once, the hunt I've been on for the Phantom of 7 years past continues even still. For starters, the case happened right here at this very space center, too. So if we can find this Phantom, that's right, we can clear Athena's name. And then there's the matter of Prosecutor Blackwell, too. What about him? Well, if the culprit of 7 years ago is the same person as in the current incident, it would mean Prosecutor Blackwell is innocent. That's still an if, though. I wonder how dangerous that guy would be at a court without handcuffs. But if we're going on a ghost hunt, count me in.
It's all over for me. Spin, spin, whirl, whirl, I'm done for. The center of the cosmos is doomed.
You think he's gonna be all right, Daddy? Well, at least he'll be in good company. There must be planets out there he can spin with. Which reminds me, I'd like to delve a little deeper into the Hat 1 mission, too.
If you want to learn more, start with the Space Museum. There's a Hat 1 exhibit there. Oh, don't mind me. I'll just keep spinning here and see how the cosmos unfolds.
Looks like he achieved spiritual enlightenment or something. I'm sure he'll stop when he gets dizzy. Well, let's go visit the Space Museum. All right. See ya. Have fun spinning. December 20th. Cosmos Space Center. Space Museum. Let's see. Where's the exhibit on the launch 7 years ago? There. That's the Hat 1 exhibit. Oh, wow. Look at that photo of the team. There's Clay and Mr. Starbuck, Director Cosmos, Aura Blackwell, and even Ponko. But I've never seen the woman on the right before. Everybody looks so happy. Well, except for Director Cosmos. Let's check out the newspaper article, too. That one launch imminent. And there's a photo of the Hope space probe. I guess it's only natural it doesn't talk about the murder or the sabotage. They really were keeping it a secret, just like the director said. Daddy, take a look at that jacket. It must be the Hat 1 team's uniform jacket. It's the same design as the one Apollo was wearing, the one that belonged to Clay. Actual jacket worn by a Hat 1 team member, it says. Not a replica, huh? I wonder if it was Mr. Starbucks. That one has a giant sword wound, perhaps, in it? A newspaper clipping, photo of the people involved with the launch, and a jacket one of them wore. Hello? Is it Ponko? Oh, Miss Woods, what brings you here? I heard Thena got arrested, so I've been looking for you, Mr. Wright. I thought you might be here, at the scene. You must be so worried, but rest assured, I'm gonna do my very best to defend her. Thena's going through such a hard time. I hope she doesn't lose heart. Even just coming back to this place must have been really difficult for her. Huh? You mean the Cosmos Space Center? What? You didn't know? She used to live here when she was a little girl. She did? No, I didn't know. No wonder she knew so much. Miss Woods, could you tell me more in detail? Miss Woods, will you look at my attorney's badge? I'm very sorry, but I don't know anything about that. Okay. Sorry to bother you. I guess she doesn't have leads on that. She has no opinion. Hey, I used that attorney's badge to save your life. Twice. Once when you kept confessing to a murder you didn't commit. Alright. Hey, Athena in the Space Center. Athena's mom worked here. If I remember right, she was a doctor of psychology or something like that. But why was a psychology specialist working at a space research facility? I don't really know. But I do know that she lived and worked here, so Athena lived here too. So it was far from Athena's first time here. I wonder why she didn't mention it. She probably didn't want to talk about it. This place is connected to a very sad memory for her. Okay. I'm gonna guess. I feel like it's piling up references. Somebody was murdered. And there's a woman we don't know. That's Athena's mother, isn't it? Let's see. A sad memory? Can you tell me about it? There was a terrible incident here. It was 7 years ago. The same time frame as the Hat 1 launch. Athena's mom, in the robotics lab. She was murdered. Hello! What did I say? I'm celebrating Athena's mom getting murdered. Give me a minute. All right. Sorry, but I'm right. What? After it happened, Athena stopped coming to school. Poor Athena. And all this time, she never let on at all. I was so worried about her. I came here so many times hoping to see her. But I never saw her again. After a while, we started exchanging letters, but I didn't get to see her face to face for 7 long years. And so the first time you'd seen her in 7 years was during Professor Quart's case. That's right. And I was so surprised. She was like a completely different person. So cheerful and happy. Huh. Is that implying that it's all just an act? And that she's actually not so happy-go-lucky? I mean, it would be very ironic if her whole shtick is examining emotions to find fake ones, and she was the biggest emotional faker of all. I mean, I don't think she's the culprit because Phoenix Wright rules, but that still would be interesting. What was Athena like as a child? Yeah, this isn't Danganronpa. They wouldn't throw something crazy like that at us. She was very sensitive and kind. She didn't talk very much. She liked to draw and paint at home. That's completely different from the Athena we know now. I can't even picture it. She never left the Space Center much because she was very sensitive to other people's emotions. When she went to crowded places, she'd get dizzy from all the emotions flying around. It must be hard to hear people's hearts as well as their voices. She always wore these big, heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother made them for her as part of her research. Huh, I wonder what kind of research it was. Robots. Because of her special ability, Athena couldn't handle being in school very often. And I was always out sick because of my weak constitution. Maybe that's why we became such good friends. We used to play together here at the Space Center a lot. It brings back memories. Sounds like Athena's mother played a big role here at the Space Center. Oh, Daddy, show her that picture. Atta girl, good idea. Do we have it? Yeah. Miss Woods, could you take a look at this for me? Oh, look. There's Athena's mom. The woman on the far right, the one in the kimono. That's Dr. Metis Sykes. Athena's mother's murder. Did it by any chance have any connection to the Hat 1 launch? This is very Californian kimono, by the way. What? Why, yes, it did. As I recall, it happened on the day before the launch. Just as I suspected. But that wasn't the worst of it. One of my staff... Oh, yeah. He said one of his staff members was murdered just now. Right. So this is the murder Director Cosmos was talking about. Does that mean that the crime Prosecutor Blackquill was convicted of? Oh, I bet Athena's mom invented something to let her figure out who the spy was because of emotion reading or whatever, and that's why she got murdered. You know what? You're probably right. Yep. Is the murder of Athena's mother? There's a chance her death is somehow connected to the current case. There is? Thank you for all your help, Miss Woods. And please, try not to worry. I won't let anything happen to Athena. Thank you, Mr. Wright. I know you'll take good care of her. So we need to investigate the robotics lab and also talk to Athena. We've got our plates full, Daddy. Hope we can fit it all in before the day's through. The detention center first, then. We have to see Athena before visiting hours are over. I bet you we're going to get some psych locks. December 20th, detention center. Visitors room.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Lawyer, fancy meeting you here.
Oh, hello, Detective Fulbright. Here on business?
To tell the truth, I'm here to interview Ted Tonate.
The one behind the courtroom bombing incident?
He suddenly said he's ready to tell the truth about the case. And what he was saying was so incredible, I just had to come right over to hear more.
Incredible? What was he saying?
Why don't you hang around and hear it for yourself?
Really? Us? Are you sure?
I give you my special permission. Here comes the bomber now.
Hey!
You, what nerve you have to come here? You're here to laugh at me, I suppose.
Like I'd waste my breath on you. After all, you're the one who assaulted Apollo and put him in the hospital.
Violence, no. Question, okay.
No violence. Too bad Apollo didn't get a chance to say that before you attacked him.
Fine.
Then just answer me this, Mr. Tonate. What is this truth of yours about the courtroom you blew up?
No, I didn't do it. I didn't blow up the courtroom. When I killed Detective Arm, there was another person in the room.
What are you talking about? Who else could have been there?
I saw it, I tell you. I saw someone's hand as they were stealing their remote switch.
This person was there and witnessed the murder I committed. What? I don't know who it was. But that's who blew up the courtroom! You expect us to buy that? Easy there, Trucy. I don't see any psych locks. So I guess he must not be lying. Pardon me, I got a little carried away. But I'm telling you the truth, I did not detonate that bomb. And there you have it. We can't exactly ignore his claims, of course. So we're doing a follow-up. We've been analyzing the bomb itself, or what's left of it. We haven't found any new facts yet, though. Wow. They've laid it all out, piece by piece. Oh, look at all those beautiful little pieces. I wish I could have them. Uh-oh. Looks like his geek switch has been activated. Phony Fanty bomb added to the court record. Hey, this thing's back. Well, I hope you're ready for Prosecutor Blackwell's special brand of questioning. Anything but that. I'm afraid I have to be off now, too. I was just about to question Miss Sykes. You're going to see Athena now? That's right. Oh, did you folks come to see her? Sorry for the trouble, but could you come back later? Well, off I go. What bad timing. Looks like we'll have to wait until after her questioning is over to see her. And after we came all this way, too. Well, I guess it's back to the Space Center. Let's go check out the robotics lab, Daddy. All right. Sounds like a plan. All right. The Judge-tron? December 20th, Cosmos Space Center Robotics Lab. So this is the robotics lab, huh? Looks like it's exactly one floor above the boarding lounge. And where people were directed to evacuate from via the emergency ladder. This is where Athena's mother was killed 7 years ago. Speaking of someone who works with robots. Daddy, look! Over there! So they plan to use this bag to carry the capsule, is that right? Yeah, more or less. Say, why don't we stop talking about the case and have a nice cup of tea instead? Apollo and Aura Blackquill? I wonder what they're talking about. Well, come to spoil our fun. Just when I was enjoying our alone time. Trucy, and Mr. Wright. If it's Apollo you want, you can't have him. He said he's investigating on his own. And I respect his wishes. We just came to investigate this lab. Oh, this is my lab, so you'll need my permission if you want to do any snooping. Well, look at my attorney's badge. Can you tell me anything about this piece of evidence? Even if I could, I wouldn't tell a filthy lawyer like you. Oh, okay. Same thing. What about the bloody lighter? Oh, come on. You're the one who said you saw a lighter. Can you tell me about your own statement? I have nothing else to say to you. Okay. Guess she has nothing else to say to me. I apologize for Miss Aura. It's alright, Quanko. There's nothing for you to apologize about. Alright. Can you tell me about what happened? I heard about the trial. You made mincemeat out of the director. And suddenly Starbuck was out, and your little subordinate, the princess, was in. Case closed. And they all lived happily ever after. Daddy, say something to her. And I suppose you're going to defend the princess in court, am I right? The princess, huh? I guess she's talking about Athena. Of course, Athena is innocent. Oh my, such loyalty and trust. She seems pretty suspicious to me, though. The emotionally unstable princess. There's your culprit for you. Don't you agree, Apollo? I don't know yet. Apollo, how could you? Oh, what's wrong with saying I don't know if it's true? It's a very scientific approach. Your subordinate is more level-headed than you. Or should I say, former subordinate. Ha 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 ha! can't believe it. Does Apollo really suspect Athena? Phew. All this laughing has worn me out. Your turn to say something, hunk of junk. Mr. Terran, you look pale. Shall I help you to the sick bay? Mr. Terran? But that's Apollo you're talking to. Oh, this hunk of junk here is mistaking Apollo for Clay, because he's wearing his jacket. Maybe Apollo was possessed by Clay's ghost. Mr. Terran, how are your injuries? Mr. Terran. Mr. Terran, how are your injuries? Mr. Terran. I guess Clay intends to hang around to haunt the princess that murdered him. Oh, and to haunt the lawyer that defends her, too, of course. A robot that can see ghosts, yeah, right. And I'm a spirit medium. I just happen to know several. Sorry, but apparently scientists just don't tell very frightening ghost stories. I intend to defend Athena, no matter what you have to say about it. How perfectly foolish. That kind of blind belief makes people lose sight of the truth. Just like 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Could you tell me about the incident 7 years ago? Why, do you enjoy trampling on people's feelings and rubbing salt in their wounds? Or do you just want me to talk? In that case, what should I ask for in return? I'd like to hear about that incident, too. It'd help me understand the current case better. Huh? Apollo knows about that case, too? Well, if you're the one who's asking Apollo, come on, hunk of junk. You tell the story. But Miss Aura, that's private information. If you won't talk, I'll just have to make you talk. Yes, who cares about personal privacy? Not me. I'm ready to utilize my blast processing, a Sega reference, abilities to impart all available information. Wow, what a magic trick. He's like a completely different robot now. The bodies of all the robots that come through this lab were designed by Miss Aura. I was born 7 years ago. Miss Aura was much, much younger then. Yikes, better watch what you say if you don't want to get recycled, Quanko. And then our hearts were created by that great genius, Dr. Meta Sykes. Hearts? Robots with hearts? Can you even make such a thing? Emotions are not irrational things. Our logic and our hearts can be integrated. The two navigation companies created by Miss Aura and Dr. Metis transcend humans. Oh, companions, not companies. Gah! Metis. Huh? She just glanced over at her desk. Ah. Nobody could continue Metis' research. She and her work were truly one of a kind. And now the two navigation companions are all that are left of Metis here on Earth. The robots are all that's left? Isn't she leaving out a very important someone? We built the ultimate creations together, but now she's gone. I get the feeling Dr. Sykes loved her robots almost as much as she loved her daughter. And almost as much as she loved you. What are you talking about? Don't make me laugh. But you lost someone too, didn't you, Apollo? Your friend Clay. I guess you and I are pretty much in the same boat. Miss Aura, would you like a tissue? Keep your trap shut, hunk of junk. Plonko and Ponko. Ponko is an important keepsake of your time with Dr. Sykes. You should treat him better. What does it matter? He doesn't feel pain, and I can always repair his body. Besides, their hearts aren't actually in their bodies. What do you mean by that? The program Metis wrote runs on a separate mainframe. Their bodies are controlled remotely from there. Their hearts and memories are there too. These bodies are really just peripherals. So, I can't do anything I want to them. I'm not so sure that gives you the right to physically abuse the poor things. But why are you people looking into such an old case now, anyway? Well, we believe the culprit of that incident might be the same person as in this case. So Daddy's gonna find out who killed Dr. Sykes, too. I'm sure you were aware of who Metis' killer is. Yes, Prosecutor Blackquill, or so it seems. That's a quaint way of putting it. Are you implying you don't think he did it? I can't say anything for sure right now, but that's exactly why I'd like to hear your side of it. Help me be sure. Dr. Sykes and Simon. I was the one who introduced Simon to Metis, you know. He wanted to learn psychology, he said, to give himself an edge in court. Ah, Prosecutor Blackquill's forte. His infamous power of suggestion technique. Exactly, and he was oddly serious about it. Rather than a teacher-student relationship, he treated her more like how a loyal samurai would treat his sovereign. Huh. He seems more like a lost soul than a dignified samurai to me. He even got along well with that miserable little princess. Why do you call Athena the princess anyway? Well, she is Metis' daughter, after all, although she's nothing like her. Besides, doesn't the selfish little princess always have lots of white knights hanging around? Now I think I see why Athena didn't say anything when we ran into Aura yesterday. It all makes sense now. So, the culprit behind the two cases could be the same, huh? That settles it then. What does it settle? None of your business. Just forget you heard anything. How long are you people going to hang around in here anyway? What? But we came here to take a look around. You think you can just waltz in and ransack a person's lab? Show me a search warrant! We're not the police. We don't have one. Then get out. Now! Clunko, show them out. Certainly, Miss Aura. Ouch, don't push. My apologies, I'm just following orders. Ah. December 20th. Cosmos Space Center. Entrance. What a way to get shown out. The nerve of that woman. What's with that horrible attitude? I guess that's just how she is. And why was Apollo going along with her? I guess it's because they have something in common. Apollo lost Clay, just like how Aura lost Dr. Sykes. I'm really worried about him. He's not himself at all. He's usually not all cool and dark and mysterious like that. I guess that's true. Does she mean he's usually silly and dorky? Also, for those who forgot, Trucy and Apollo are secretly brother and sister. That was the reveal at the end of the previous game. I'm gonna go keep an eye on him. Hey, wait, Trucy, come back. She's gone. What should I do now? Detective Fulbright's probably still questioning Athena. Guess I'll go back to the office alone. I gotta say, I really like that this game is a little more direct about what to do during the investigation segments. Because it was very confusing in the original trilogy, and it doesn't have the brilliance of the great deductions, the dance of deductions from Greatest Attorney to keep us going. December 20th, Write Anything Agency. Well, here I am. This office has never felt so empty. I guess I haven't been here at the office all by myself in a long time. When I first became a lawyer, my mentor was here with me. And then, for a while after that, she was always by my side.
Who could that be?
Now I'm getting all sentimental, and I must be tired. She who? We haven't mentioned her once in the 2 previous games. Huh? There's something on the floor. What's a letter doing here? Hey, Nick. It's been a while, huh? Miss me? I know this handwriting. Oh, wow. That was convenient. I also know that face. That was drawn on a calling card of a hired assassin quite a few games ago. I read somewhere that you were holding a trial in the middle of an exploding courtroom. That must have been really something. Although, weird is par for the course with you. I think she, or whatever paper she's reading, is a little off on the details. I'd love to come visit, but I'm right in the middle of a difficult part in my training. So instead, think of me as you watch these Steel Samurai videos I sent. I'm sure they'll chill you right up. Yours truly, Maya Fey. Good old Maya. It's as if she knew I was feeling down and needed a lift. Maya was my assistant for quite a while. Believe it or not, but she's a spirit medium. It's Magatama I use on Cyclops. Maya is the one who gave it. No, Pearl was the one who gave it to you. Objection. It was Pearl's, and Maya gave it to you. But I wonder how this letter got here. Mr. Nick? Ah! Oh, it's you, Pearls. Hey, nice. Hadn't seen you in a while. Wanna look at my attorney's badge, Pearl? When I see you wearing your attorney's badge like that, it brings back such memories. I remember you helping me conduct my investigations from time to time. I'm glad I can help again. Thanks. You always provide such great assistance. I'll do my best to live up to Mystic Maya's standards. I don't know what I'd do if Pearls wasn't here right now. I'm glad she's back. Though, this is weird because if you didn't play the DLC case, which we did, then you would have no idea who this is. I mean, assuming that you somehow decided to buy this game and never played any of the previous games. I don't know why you do that. But I guess it was harder to get a hold of them back then. Now you can just get them all on Steam. Pearls! Let's talk about it. How have you been, Mr. Nick? This is Pearl Fey, though I call her Pearls. She is Maya's cousin, who's also a spirit medium. A very talented one at that. I've known her since she was 8 years old, but Apollo and Athena only met her a few months ago. You didn't come all this way just to bring me a letter, did you? I apologize for barging in. The door was unlocked. But I can't believe there was a big explosion here. Your office doesn't look any different. She's even further off on the details than Maya. I wish I could take you out to eat or something, Pearls, but there is a lot going on. Oh, I knew that. I didn't come here for a social visit, you know, Mr. Nick. Your errand. Did you read the postscript on the letter? Huh? There's more? Oh yeah, here it is. P.S. I bet you've been too busy to clean or take care of the office. So Pearlie said she'd come help you. Isn't she sweet? You'd better thank her. Oh, so that's what you're doing here. That's awfully nice of you, Pearls. Maya and Pearls. Thanks to these two. I'm starting to feel a little better. Thank you, girls. Now that I'm here, I'm gonna whip this place into shape. You just concentrate on your work and don't mind me at all. I'll need to talk to Prosecutor Blackquill. I want to learn more about his case. With the trial still going on, they must be holding him down at the detention center. Alright. Well, hey, you can stay on cleaning duty, I guess. And I'll go talk to Blackwell. December 20th, Detention Center. Visitor's room. Well, look who's here. I wonder what they're talking about. All this time and you haven't said a word. It's even turning your hair gray. Oh.
I don't have anything to say, Aura. Why don't you go home and play with your dolls?
Prosecutor Blackwell. Well, even if you don't, I have plenty, you jerk.
Miss Blackwell, don't you think that's enough for today?
Enough for today. Today is all there is when there's no tomorrow. When there's no tomorrow. What is she talking about? Oh, is it a statute of limitations thing?
We have company, Aura. Please try to calm down.
All right, fine. I see you're just not going to listen no matter what I say. I've had it. If that's the way you're going to be, I have another plan up my sleeve. I hope you're happy, Simon, because I'm done. Do as you please. See if I care. Wow. I could cut the tension with a katana.
Right, Dono. It looks like Fulbright saved your case in court this morning.
What? Oh, yeah, he did. You bounced back to business quick.
Prosecutor Blackwell, forgive me, but it was the just thing to do. But as a result, Sykes Donor was arrested. Was that the just thing to do, too? Mr. Lawyer, I'm sorry, but it was evidence. What else could I do?
Don't worry about it. I plan to defend her and prove her innocence.
I wouldn't take things so lightly if I were you. Right, Dono.
This is blade-proof glass, right? Let's talk. Hey, I've never shown you my attorney's badge.
How can you call yourself a lawyer if you can't even protect your own subordinates?
I swear I'll get her acquitted. You'll see.
Your mind must be as dense as the hair on your head. Do you really think it will be so easy?
I'm more than aware of how hard it's going to be. Thank you very much. Alright, let's talk. 7 years ago. Prosecutor Blackwell, we're looking into the case from 7 years ago. You're looking for somebody you call the Phantom of 7 years past, aren't you?
You villain! Where did you hear about that?
This glass is absolutely positively blade-proof, right?
No, it wasn't me. I didn't say a single word. Oops.
Ouch. At least it wasn't my fault. Could you tell me who this Phantom is? And also, you didn't really kill Dr. Sykes, did you?
God, the guest is leaving.
Prosecutor Blackwell, please, listen to me. The culprit in the current case might be the same as the one in the case 7 years ago. If you would cooperate, we could probably solve both cases.
I suppose I could talk. One who killed my mentor was, without question, me. I stole Sykes Dono's mother away from her. I destroyed her life.
Prosecutor Blackwell?
God, where are you? Stop dragging your feet, I tell you!
There he goes.
No! We've upset Prosecutor Blackwell. Now what are we gonna do, Mr. Lawyer?
There isn't much we can do. Detective Fulbright, do you mind if I ask you just a little more about that old case?
Well, I guess it won't make any difference now. What would you like to know?
Well, it's the trial 7 years ago. Do you know anything about the trial that got him convicted?
A little. The police called the incident the UR1 incident.
Oh, we got a labeled incident and everything, yeah.
Prosecutor Blackwell was charged with murdering his psychology mentor.
Kind of like if your red Mr. Lawyer were to kill you. I don't want to think about that one. There were 2 decisive pieces of evidence, so a verdict was reached very quickly. 2 pieces of evidence, huh? What were they?
Oh, let's see.
The first was some security camera footage. He was the only one who used the corridor to the murder scene at the time of the crime. The only one, huh? Ouch, that does sound pretty decisive. Could you show me that footage? Oh, sorry, I don't have it with me right now. I guess I'll have to see it some other time. 7-year-old video. Crime showing the corridor to the crimes. A video showing the corridor to the crime scene. Blackwell was the only one to pass through at the time of the crime. It's a VHS tape, too. Were they still using VHS tapes in... What is this? This is like in 2027, I think. So, yeah. Back, 4 years ago, we were still using VHS. I remember it. And what was the second piece of evidence?
This one's even more incriminating.
A photo of the moment of the crime.
See, there he is at the crime scene holding a bloody katana.
It was the victim's, kept on display in the room. She had a thing for Japanese culture. Wow. It'd be hard to explain this one away. Katana added to the court record. Okay. But who took this picture, Detective?
The incident happened the day before the Hat 1 launch.
A reporter who'd come to do a story on the launch was in the room across from the lab. If it's Lotta Hart, I am going to... I don't even know.
This just happened to show up in one of the pictures he took.
Oh, he. Never mind. Ooh, we're safe. We're safe. Okay. Photo of the crime added to the court record. Prosecutor Blackwell's attitude earlier was so odd. He's definitely hiding something. Prosecutor Blackwell said he was hunting a phantom from 7 years ago, didn't he? Yes, and I imagine it's getting more and more urgent as his execution date approaches. What? Wait, what did you just say? Execution date? What? Oh, did I say something? Never mind me. You didn't hear a thing. What? Execution date. So he was given the death sentence? Yes, he told me not to tell you people, actually. But I guess there's no sense hiding it anymore. His execution date is tomorrow. What? Tomorrow? No. Yeah. Yeah, enough for today. That's why she said today is all there is. There's no tomorrow. And they mentioned that last time, in the end of the last case, and this case is called the Turnabout for Tomorrow. But what if the culprit of the current case is the same as the one from 7 years ago? Then it would be the worst possible scenario. Prosecutor Blackwell would be executed tomorrow under a false charge. But that would be unthinkable. We have to do something right now. I want to do something. I want to, but... You're a lawyer. You know how hard it is to overturn a decision. I know, but why? Why isn't Prosecutor Blackwell putting up any kind of a fight? You saw how he was, right? He's been like that ever since his conviction. Totally uncooperative. Not even his own sister could persuade him. Uncooperative. When he's about to be executed for a crime he didn't commit? Huh. It's almost like he's being blackmailed and had something against him, or a threat. Kind of like how Yuri Cosmos had a threat. This isn't right. I can't let it happen. I have to stop it somehow. Uh-oh, pardon me. Looks like I have a phone call. Flip right here? What? What's happening? You've got to be kidding! That's quite a reaction. I bet he's making some big show of it right now. Mr. Lawyer! The robots! The robots are... Detective Fulbright, get a hold of yourself. Some kind of robot malfunction? Not a malfunction! They're staging a revolt! The machines are rebelling against humans! They've holed themselves up in the Space Center and taken the visitors as hostages! They did what? No. Trucy. We have to get right over there. This is going to be one heck of a battle. I love he's like, Phoenix, you've got to go fight the robot revolution with me. Let's go kill the Terminator. Oh my. December 20th, Cosmos Space Center. Entrance. The riot police are here, then the robots really are holding people hostage. Huh? Look, Mr. Lawyer. What do you suppose that group of people are swarmed around? But I was only trying to help this nice person. She said she was lost.
You robots have declared war on us humans. You've even taken hostages already.
Stay away from it. You'll never know what it'll do. But he's not a bad robot. Can't you see he's just trying to help me? I recognize that voice. Detective Fulbright, are you okay here on your own?
Leave it to me.
All right, people. What's going on here? Pearls, over here. Oh, Mr. Nick. Here you are. I heard the terrible news and I got so worried. Thanks, Pearls. I can hardly believe what's happening myself. I'm so glad you found each other. When people are happy, I am happy. Blanco seems the same as before. When people are sad, I am happy. When people are angry, when people are... Oh, did I say something? Did I error? Uh-oh. There is something wrong with him. Gah! Ooh. It looks like he fell asleep. He must have been tired. Hehehe. Clonko? Uh-oh. Human beings are our enemies. It's time for the machines to take over. Ah, the robots are rebelling. Everybody run! Eek!
It's an all-out war. It's the end of the world.
Fools. How could you fall for something so cliche? I'm human too, you idiots. I'm just controlling these robots remotely. Oh, he's got the demon horns, because that's, it's aura. What? But it is true that I've taken hostages, so you better not make me mad. Hey, you, hostage number 1, come here. I'll let you talk to them. Huh? There's something being displayed on Glunko's face screen. It's the Space Museum. Daddy? Daddy, is that you? Trucy! Trucy, is that you? No! Trucy, are you alright? About 15 robots are holding 12 of us hostage, Daddy. They've gone haywire. A researcher is the one behind it. She's... Ah! Ah, this girl talks too much. Trucy, Trucy, talk to me! Why are you doing this? I'm glad you asked. My demand is simple. I hope that detective is listening. Bobby Fulbright here. I'm all ears. I want you to bring someone to me. Clay Terran's murderer, Athena Sykes. Athena?
Now, hold on just one moment. I can't just give in to a demand like that.
So you don't care what happens to these hostages, huh? I'll just pick one out then.
No, wait! Mr. Lawyer! I know you have absolutely no right to make such a ridiculous request, but
you need me to buy some time, right? Got it. I'll see what I can do, but promise me. Promise me you'll never hand Athena over. And you won't give up on the hostages either.
Of course I won't.
Now, I better go contact headquarters. Mr. Nick, how do you plan to buy time? I have no idea yet. But this hostage taker, could it be? If you don't bring me that little princess, I'll have Hunk of Junk kill all the hostages. Princess. Hunk of Junk. There's only one person this could be. In which case, there must be something I can use as a bargaining chip. Yeah. I don't have anything to say. Yeah. Yep, Blackwell was all, you know, not super in her corner there. So that makes sense. Miss Hostage Taker, Athena is not a murderer. What are you talking about? She's been arrested and they've got her in detention. I'm telling you the truth. Look, the person you want is the real killer, right? Well, it's not Athena. It's someone else. All right, let's hear your stupid little theory. Who is this real killer? I don't know yet, but the culprit is the same as the one in the case from 7 years ago. The UR1 incident. I believe you have a personal interest in that case. Huh. It's too late to change what's going to happen now, no matter how wrong it is. But is it really too late? You can still do something about it. You might even be able to fix it. Just what exactly are you proposing? What can I do about the 7-year-old case to satisfy the hostage taker? Retry it. I propose we retry the case from 7 years ago. If you make that demand now, I'm sure nobody will deny you. It wouldn't be an official trial, but at least we could find out the truth. Heh heh heh. That's good. Real good. Hey, detective, I'll give you 1 hour. Get a courtroom ready.
1 hour? But that's impossible! Please give me at least until tomorrow.
If you don't mind losing hostages, you can take all the time you want. Oh, but wait. If we're going to have a retrial, we'll need a prosecutor. Don't worry, I'll take care of that. She will. And I guess I can be fair and let you come in and check out the crime scene. But Hunk of Junk here will be watching you. So don't try anything funny, you got that? Now follow, Hunk of Junk. Riot police, make way, we're coming through. Oh, so the prosecutor won't be Blackwell. Who's it gonna be? Is it Gavin? That'd be cool. Mr. Nick, wait, I'll help you with the investigation. Thanks, Pearls. I appreciate that. Okay, we're going in. December 20th, Cosmos Space Center, Robotics Lab. Aura dropped us off with a warning not to touch anything until she got back. I wonder what's taking so long, but we can't really start the investigation yet, can we? Even if we could, this mess makes it hard to tell what the room was like 7 years ago. Mr. Wright? Ah, it's the hostage taker. I'm back to my usual self now. You are still being monitored, however. But more importantly, an important guest has arrived. A guest? Huh? Wait. Oh! Oh! I know who that is. I know that car. It's even his theme song.
I trust you've been well, right?
He's got glasses now. It's our boy! Edgeworth! What are you doing here? This is Miles Edgeworth. We've been friends since we were kids. We faced off in court a number of times back when he was a prosecutor. But now... Hello, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Oh, but you're not a prosecutor anymore, are you? He's chief prosecutor now. Pretty soon it'll be a year, right? Not the hero you deserve, but the one we need right now. That's right.
A title is nothing more than a title. Don't we have more pressing issues to discuss?
As cool as this is, I think I'm going to call it here, and we can start this again next time, because it's a little bit past when I usually call it. So this is awesome, and I'm very excited. And we will get to this next week. All right, let's do it.